Well, welcome, my friends. This is Macil Duncan, and this is a Monday, and this is the Macil Duncan Show, June. Let's see, what is today's date? The 10th. Wonderful day, man. It's been out, beautiful sunshine. Gas is down to 2.59 a gallon at the corner of Ooltewah Ringgold Road. And in East Brainerd, if you're looking for some cheap gas, 2.59 a gallon, shabammer. So things are happening in the economy. People are getting a little bit ready for the upcoming presidential election. There will be banter about many things, and we will bring some of that to you today. Um, there's a lot of talk about Caitlin Clark missing out on the Olympics. There's a lot of theory, and I'll bring you Stephen A. Smith's comments. I think he sums it up pretty good, but I'm still shockerooed that they put one lady on the roster that's injured. She hadn't even played this year, ahead of Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese. Of course, some are calling her Devil Reese because she enjoys playing the bad girl, but we'll see what happens. Um, there's a third of Americans saying that we're tipping too much in our society, and so they are becoming more anti-tipping, which is now changed from I guess, the American way. We've got other things coming up. Let's see here. We got, by the way, I will play for you here in just a minute, the sex trafficking warning for parents with college-bound daughters. When I listened to this, it really got my attention. This news station is warning, and I have three daughters that are now married, but they all went off to college. And it's the biggest fear of any father when you send your daughters out into the world. If you think for a moment they're in a vulnerable situation at all, check out this news report saying that be careful, parents. Sex traffickers are lurking to try to get your daughter to become one of their products.
A warning tonight for parents sending their daughters off to college. Young female college students are being targeted and coerced into becoming sex workers.
Local parents of a young woman who's believed to be currently sex trafficked say every parent needs to hear their story and take note.
Wake up. This is going on college campuses. It's rampant.
Now, these parents' faces are blurred if you're watching the video. This is News 4, and I believe this is Jacksonville, Florida. So I'll just back it up just a little. This is the parents, very concerned, telling us to wake up. If you are a parent of a daughter going off to college, you might want to hear this.
Currently sex trafficked say every parent needs to hear their story and take note.
Wake up. This is going on college campuses. It's rampant. You don't think your daughter's going to be a victim of it? You need to pay attention.
Those Jacksonville area parents who just spoke say that they have not heard from their daughter in months.
She was a student at the University of Florida who now appears in sex videos on various adult social media websites. News4Jax reporter Eric Avenese here with why her parents and investigators believe this is a case of sex trafficking, Eric, with a legal loophole.
Legal loophole. It is considered a legal loophole when a suspected adult victim tells authorities she is okay and is appearing in sex videos of her own free will. But investigators in this case believe the 22-year-old woman is being forced to say she is okay, and until she comes forward and admits that she is being threatened to appear as if everything is okay, authorities say they cannot arrest the man who is believed to be her handler. Both her parents and a list of investigators in this case say there are obvious signs that she is being sex trafficked. Now, because the man suspected of being her handler has not been charged with a crime, we are not identifying him. We are also not identifying the parents of the 22-year-old because she is believed to be a victim in all of this.
I can't imagine. So the parents haven't heard from her in months, but she is appearing in multiple sex videos, and that has got to be heartbreaking. Please keep this family in your prayers. I bring this to you to let you to be aware that there's a lot of things happening, and there's a lot of desperation. The cartel are trafficking, and we've heard different reports, and I'll share with you again. A world leader has now come forward and admitted in a recent interview that there is child sex trafficking, and some are used for sacrifices to the devil. And before you roll your eyes, you need to listen to this information. But here is another ABC News report about a former beauty queen who now is being charged because she, I guess, got so desperate she was doing drug trafficking, using her airline job as a cover to get drugs across the border.
Glennis Zapata's name was up in lights as Miss Indiana Latina in 2011. Tonight, she is named in a federal grand jury indictment and facing drug trafficking charges. Zapata had been working lately as a flight attendant, but according to federal authorities, was also attending to the movement of drug cartel cash on board jetliners into Mexico. In 2011, Glennis Zapata was the smiling beauty queen of Lafayette, Indiana. As Miss Lafayette Latina, Zapata became a contestant in the state contest and won. The 2011 Miss Indiana Latina won't be on a court in 2024. She'll be in it. Tonight, she is named in this indictment by a federal grand jury in Chicago, charged with transporting hundreds of thousands of dollars in drug proceeds while working as a commercial flight attendant on planes including this one, first reported by the ABC7 I-Team in 2022. This private jet landed here at Gary, Indiana Airport from Mexico with 220 pounds of cocaine packed in several suitcases. Cartel operatives arrested in the private jet have already been prosecuted and imprisoned. According to the new indictment, Glennis Zapata is charged with her sister, 33-year-old Elenis, also from Lafayette, an Indiana bank employee who allegedly helped launder drug proceeds by swapping low-denomination bills for higher ones. A second bank employee is also charged. Authorities say the kingpin of the drug trafficking organization is this man, 41-year-old fugitive Oswaldo Espinoza, alias Scrambler. From 2018 to 2023, Espinoza allegedly moved cocaine from Mexico to Chicago and other cities using warehouses, garages, and stash houses here to inventory the drugs and cash.
So I think you're getting the picture here. A lot of young ladies are being used for drug and sexual purposes. The church needs to wake up. There's got to be something. We can, of course, pray. But we've got to be mindful that there is an attack to go after the innocence of our kids, and at all levels. And it's very sad to as you hear these reports. And I again go back to that parent. I cannot imagine being that father, not being able to contact your daughter in months, but hearing that she's appearing in multiple sex videos, and it goes against the culture you raised her in. So something for us to pray about and be mindful of, because that's something happening. But there is an interesting tide happening right now in the globe. Elections right now are surging towards conservatism. And this has got some of the global people panicking. The EU elections, right-wing surge, and political earthquake happening in France. Check this news out.
It was not as good a showing as some on the right had hoped for, but good enough to bring down the French government and push the European Union farther right. Conservative parties saw major gains in parliamentary seats, handing French President Emmanuel Macron a humiliation, prompting him to call snap legislative elections in a gamble to save his government. In Italy, Premier Giorgia Meloni more than doubled her party's seats in the assembly. And in Germany, despite being hounded by a scandal and negative media coverage, the conservative Alternative for Germany party still rallied enough seats to outgain Chancellor Olaf Scholz's left-wing Social Democrats. This AfD supporter said the future belongs to us. In France, the president of the National Rally Party, Jordan Bardella, told supporters a wind of hope has risen in France, and it's only just begun. Frank Ferretti, one of the intellectual leaders of the European right, told us the election result was predictable because Europeans have been so unhappy with their governments.
They basically feel that the conventional parties have let them down. They want to have their voices heard. They want to be part of the conversation. And they basically want to have parties that speak like they do, rather.
And what we're finding out is wokeism is on the decline as far as the consumption of the people. I'll bring with you in the next segment, the Blaze Media is reporting how Target, the NFL, many of the woke people are backing off on their LGBTQ and all the other letter stuff because you, the consumer, and I are saying with our feet and our pocketbook, we're not going to watch your stuff and we're not going to pay for it. And that, my friends, has been the pushback because if it doesn't sell, well, it's got to be put on the shelf somewhere. So it's very interesting that you're seeing a surge of conservative elections globally, not just here in America. Right now, there's a shocking poll that may give you the oh shockaroo, but right now it's saying that reality bites. 84% of Americans believe they will be worse off under Joe Biden than Donald Trump. 84% of Americans. This is an El Shockaroo that is coming out. Donald Trump is surging in the polls, and Joe Biden is declining. He is now at his lowest point he's ever been. He's at 34.9 approval rating. He has now made Jimmy Carter look like a rock star. So with Biden declining, Trump increasing, even with all the things they're throwing at him, including the kitchen sink, you're seeing global change, and you're seeing wokeism on the defensive. The one decision I am very shocked that was made in America, and I think many of you are as well, is the decision to leave Caitlin Clark off the Olympic team. I think a lot of people are sitting there going, what in the world is going on? Why would they leave Caitlin Clark off the Olympic team other than the fact that many feel she's straight, she's white, she's a Christian, and she just doesn't go with their narrative.
Caitlin Clark will have to wait at least 4 more years to become an Olympian. The Indiana Fever rookie left off of the USA Olympic roster. Clark says she isn't disappointed by the decision, calling Team USA the most competitive team in the world.
I'm excited for the girls that are on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and I know it could have gone either way of me being on the team, me not being on the team. So, I'm excited for them. I'm going to be rooting them on to win gold.
What was your level of disappointment not hearing your name on the roster?
Honestly, no disappointment. I think it just gives you something to work for. That's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, I can be there.
Well, she said that nice and polite, but she texted to her coach that when she got the news, she wasn't on. And then she told her coach in a text, they have awakened a monster. And she went out that very night and had 30 points and hit 7 threes. And all these elite players that keep saying she's not ready and she can't play. Well, I'm very interested that Sue Bird, Candace Parks, and many others were rookies with about the same experience as she was, and they were put on the Olympic team. And again, they've got a lady on the team right now on the 12-woman roster that hasn't even played. She's an injured player. Okay, she can't even right now participate in practices, and if the games were held today, she would be on the bench. It doesn't make sense, other than the fact Caitlin Clark does not check their boxes because, as you know, the WNBA has become pretty much a woke, lesbian-led league, and they're not ashamed of that. And they talk about it so openly. And Caitlin Clark doesn't push, but she's straight, she's white, she's a Christian. And the other thing I think bothers them is she can outscore them. She hangs with all of them. And you give her another year or two under the belt, she will own the WNBA if they don't flat out cripple her with some of these cracking hits that they're delivering on her. When we come back, we'll talk about some more of the upcoming news. Don't forget my book, Move Your Mountain, is out. And if you'd like to get a copy of my book, you can go online to Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, wherever you get your online materials. Also, Thrifty Books, I think, has it on a little discount right now at thriftybooks.com. But thank you guys that have bought the book, and I appreciate that. And my good friend Joshua Cummings, I was on his podcast for 2 hours this past Friday night, Faith, Family, and Politics. You might want to check that out. He's a few states over from me, but they have a very popular podcast. The 4 of them invite someone like me on to banter with. But Joshua is the key host, and I appreciate it again. Pastor, salute to you, my Joshua friend. And Ankus, my good friend from New Jersey, he's one of my listeners who listens almost every day, and he is from India, working to become an American citizen. He'll be calling in at the 5 o'clock hour to give us his take on the prestigious election in his home country of India, where the president has been historically elected to another term. And we'll talk about that. So this is Macil Duncan on the Patriot Pastor Show. I'll be back after these breaks.
.917society.com, led by Joni Bryan from Nashville, funds the National Education Order 108447 in 1959 that declared Constitution Day in public schools, and that's something we sorely need. More than 1 million kids last year got a free copy of the Constitution, and this year's goal is 2 million kids. Imagine that. The Constitution in the hands of 2 million American kids. On September 17th, all public schools are to distribute and educate students on the Constitution of the United States. If you'd like to help out, 917, that's 917society.com, led by Joni Bryan of Nashville, Tennessee. And remember, the goal this year, 2 million copies of the Constitution in kids' hands. And you can help. Again, the website, 917society.com. Jesus said, "You do it unto the least of these, and it's as if you were doing it unto me." There are many hungry people in our communities. The Appleton Food Bank feeds over 3,000 people every month, and they could use your prayers. In these troubling times, the number of clients they are serving is increasing. You can make a donation today. Go online to AppletonBaptist.com. AppletonBaptist.com. Food drives, prayers, financial donations, all help. They have rented 2 old grocery stores. They're open 7 days a week for donations, and they distribute every Monday and Friday. The motto at Appleton Baptist Church is taking Jesus as he is to people as they are. And you can get involved and help feed the hungry. Go to the website, AppletonBaptist.com. You know, there is someone hungry in your world tonight. So as you're seated tonight at your dinner table, enjoying the mashed potato and steak off the barbecue grill, remember that there are many people in our communities, in our world, that are not as fortunate as you are. So please consider donating your time, funds, and food to your local food bank or food pantry. And as you enjoy the barbecue tonight, please remember them. Check on the widows, elderly, and the orphans as well. You can donate in the Appleton, Tennessee area to Appleton Baptist Church. They have a food pantry there that would love your support. And there are many food pantries all over America. We need to feed this nation in more ways than one. But one way that we can literally feed them is with food. Get involved and make a difference.
Donald Trump is calling for the criminal prosecution of members of the Congressional January 6th Investigative Committee, all of whom are his political opponents. In a post on Truth Social, the former president wrote, "Indict the unselect J6 committee for illegally deleting and destroying all of their findings." Committee members included Republicans Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, and Democrats Adam Schiff, Jamie Raskin, Benny Thompson, and others. Trump made the post after his former chief strategist Steve Bannon was sentenced to 4 months in prison for defying a subpoena from the committee. Bannon remained defiant after he was handed the sentence Thursday and ordered to surrender by July 1st.
There's not a prison built. There's not a prison built or a jail built that will ever shut me up. All victory to MAGA. We're going to win this. We're going to win at the Supreme Court. And more importantly, we're going to win on November 5th in an amazing landslide.
Trump added in his Truth Social post, "It is a total and complete American tragedy that the crooked Joe Biden Department of Injustice is so desperate to jail Steve Bannon, and every other Republican for that matter, for not submitting to the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs." Congressman Barry Loudermilk spearheaded a Republican-led investigation into what happened on January 6, 2021, and wrote in his report that some of the evidence from the original Select Committee was not preserved. Committee member Zoe Lofgren responded to Trump's calls for their indictment and denied deleting evidence.
The ex-president is threatening to arrest people shows he does not understand or does not care about our system of justice.
The committee concluded its investigation with an 845-page report and a criminal referral against Trump to the Justice Department. They suggested Trump be indicted on charges very similar to those brought forward by Special Counsel Jack Smith. For more stories on Trump and congressional committees, download the Straight Arrow News app.
So you heard it right there. Donald Trump has come out and said he thinks the January 6th committee should be investigated, if not indicted. And it does seem, if you go back and look at it, that they've still not released all the video evidence. The FBI will not tell us how many undercover agents that were mixed in with the Trump people. You do have people like Ray Epps, who has been now identified as an FBI operative who was wearing Trump paraphernalia and is on video the night before saying we must rush the Capitol. And on January 6th, Ray Epps is on video waving people into the Capitol saying we must go into the Capitol. Is that entrapment? Is that baiting people, misleading people? If you're on the federal payroll and you do things like that and then turn around and arrest people for entering the Capitol, some feel that is not that's not an American way of life, and that's the people's house. Well, there's a shocking poll, and reality does bite. 84% of Americans believe they will be worse off under a Biden second term. Rakeem Kazem joined the Steve Bannon on Monday morning to discuss the latest YouGov presidential election poll. Raheem scored the latest poll and found this shocking nugget from across the nation. 84% of Americans believe they will be worse off under a second Biden term. Of course, that includes Democrats, Republicans, Independents, as well as other third parties. So this is interesting, as that poll has now been released. And also the business media poll just got released that Joe Biden is at his lowest. He's at 34.9%. His lowest, which was already the lowest, he's now making Jimmy Carter look like a rock star. So it's rather interesting as you see this developing. Well, the Blaze Media is now reporting that the fall of Pride Month, that's right, from last June, when we had the pushback due to Dylan Mulvaney and the Target bringing out the satanic wardrobes for children and the tuck bathing suits, etc. Well, it says the fall of Pride Month, comedian Thai Rivera explains why Target and the NFL are walking back their activism. And I'm still shocked how much the NFL has jumped into the wokeism. With corporations slowly backing off of their yearly traditions of screening about gay pride from rooftops in order to hawk merchandise, many musicians, comedians, and companies alike are noticing that the threat of being canceled by online mobs is diminishing. Celebrities like Cat Williams and J.K. Rowling's powering through the attempted cancellations has shown that a temporary wave of online criticism is a storm that can indeed be weathered, and has inspired other comedians and other professional people that I guess perform to steady the course and don't be afraid of your morals and beliefs. This could not be more true than the stand-up comedian Thai Riviera, a self-professed bridge burner who has dealt with multiple campaigns against him. Riviera openly starred in the Blaze News that's being mastered in his craft that gives him the confidence to speak openly about taboo subjects. It is this when he comes out and says, case in point, Riviera's recent statement on Target's new decision to remove Pride clothing and from their select outlets. That is huge. Target has been a thunderstep for the gay agenda, and for them to soft back and backpedal tells you they're losing money, they're losing ground, and it's at the end of the day, even these woke lick block liberals don't want to be pushing something that nobody wants to buy or nobody wants to participate. I personally have not been in a Target store in years. I don't want to share oxygen with any organization that is so anti-Christian and anti-children. I don't know about you, but I don't shop. I don't give them I don't only give them my money. I don't even let them have my parking spot. I don't want them even to think for a second I might endorse them. Starbucks is another. I'll never go to Starbucks. You could give me a Starbucks card, I'll throw it in the trash. I will not use it. I won't even re-gift it. Why send the poison on? So I think it's very interesting that you're seeing that. And the NFL, the National Felons League, has really had to take a back step because they're finding out that what they're supporting is not very family friendly, and people are at the moment saying, I don't think it's what I want to have in my life. The NFL ratings have been in a steady decline the last 10 to 12 years, starting with the Kaepernick Take It a Knee during the national anthem. That was a very unpopular thing, and they went right from the disrespecting the flag and patriotism to embracing the rainbow and the LGBTQ. So what you're finding out is a lot of people saying, no, I don't think so. And what's happening now is a very big push for the Facebook just went completely off again. There is a fact checker on there that can't stand whenever I go off on the gay agenda. But good news is I'm still on Rumble and X, locals.com and others. So if you're on the Facebook or used to use the Facebook, just understand that's now become common ground for them. Anyway, moving on. Let's see what else we got. Got another story here. Reports Apple to unveil its AI upgrades at an upcoming conference. See what you think about this.
One of Apple's biggest events of the year kicks off today in California. And according to reports, the Worldwide Developers Conference will see Apple showcasing its advancements in artificial intelligence, which the tech company has reportedly dubbed Apple Intelligence. Specifically, Apple is expected to highlight AI upgrades to its Siri talking assistant. Reports have said Apple has held talks with OpenAI and Google to license their AI software. Apple is also slated to debut its latest operating systems for its devices. CEO Tim Cook is scheduled to deliver the keynote address. And remember, you can get alerted to our latest stories on AI by downloading the Straight Arrow News app and turning on notifications.
So that's interesting that AI is creating such a stir, if you will. Don't forget the Google AI, I think it was Gemini, had problems because it was so woke and so obvious with it. It got called back. A lot of these AIs, they're rewriting history, rewriting the think tank, if you will, and a lot of Americans are concerned, and well should be. Israel has a cabinet resignation. Let's play this before the break.
A key member of Israel's war cabinet has resigned. Benny Gantz, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's biggest political rival, has stepped down after Netanyahu failed to meet the deadline Gantz gave him to come up with a post-war plan to replace Hamas in Gaza by June 8th. In a speech Sunday, the retired Army general said it was a complex and painful decision.
Regrettably, Netanyahu is preventing us from advancing toward true victory, which is the justification for the ongoing and painful cost of war. That is why we are leaving the emergency government today, with a heavy heart but with full confidence.
Netanyahu issued a brief statement calling on Gantz not to, quote, abandon the campaign. Gantz's resignation was delayed by a day due to Israel's rescue of 4 hostages from Hamas captivity in Gaza. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry said at least 274 Palestinians were killed in the Israeli air and ground raid, and hundreds more were wounded.
Well, again, Hamas started this mess, will not cease fire and will not agree to release all the hostages, but they complain about all the casualties. When you mess with a bigger force that has a bigger army and has more toys, if you will, for the boys, you should back off. This is the Macil Duncan radio show. I'll be back after the messages.
Clark's exclusion from the United States women's national team for the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris continued to ignite significant negative feedback within the sports world. The roster is selected by the Women's Basketball Committee, whose members include South Carolina coach and former United States coach Dawn Staley, LSU assistant Simon Augustus, Old Dominion coach Delisha Milton-Jones, Connecticut Sun president Jennifer Rosati, and WNBA head of league operations Bethany Donovan.
Do you love God and do you love America? If you do, you're going to love this radio show, the Macil Duncan Radio Show, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. right here at Destiny Life Media 96. You have heard it said that you need to use your talents to expand the kingdom of God, right? Maybe you have a special talent in music or art or media production, and you'd like to be mentored and you'd like to know how to use that to expand the kingdom of God. Metro Tabernacle Church has a week-long camp, July 21st through the 25th, specially designed for middle and high school church students to grow in their talents and build community. Students will select a specific track for the week, collaborate with peers in their selected area, produce music, art, dance, and participate in a showcase at the end of the week, highlighting those creative skills that they've learned and the hard work they've done. For more information, you can call the church. Call the church at 423-894-3377. That's Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga. 423-894-3377. We are growing better together all the time. Those are the words of Dr. Steve Ball of Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. One of the ways that they grow is with life groups. It's very important for you to get connected in a small group so you can develop relationships and hold each other accountable. Dr. Ball says they believe that Metro Tab is growing larger and smaller at the same time. Life groups are an important part in developing relationships with others who share your interests and are dealing with similar life issues. Why don't you get connected? Check out life groups and the many other offerings at Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They want to be involved in your life. The address is 2101 West Shepherd Road, just off Highway 153 at the airport exit.
Well, I guess I'm back. Sorry for these glitches with it's a new system we're working out here. But Elon Musk must drop a truth bomb on the left-wing extinctionist movement. As I mentioned earlier, there's a group of folks that are saying, "Hey, I'm pushing on through these attempts to silence those that are conservative or have different views." The globalists had a difficult weekend as far-right parties, also called centrist, were victorious in the EU elections on the continent, in the country after country. Now, the far-left globalists saw their grip on power collapsing. Reality got in the way, and the far left today lives on fantasies and destruction. Disorder, not just of the United States, but in Western Europe. And people have had enough. Folks are voting with their feet and with their pocketbook, and you're seeing people push back. And the Green Party is collapsing all over Europe in the EU elections. This is huge news, says Peter Sweden, and the right-wing parties opposed of the woke agenda, open borders, and the net zero have seen massive wins. So for Elon Musk to be publishing this on his X account and speaking boldly for it, he said, in my opinion, he fundamentally hates humanity. He's doing things to erode the fabric of civilization. Elon Musk blasts George Soros during a recent Joe Rogan interview. And, of course, we know George Soros is pretty much the grandfather of the woke agenda, and he seems to be the one that they all seem to coalesce around when you're starting to see all these things. So it's just very interesting as you see this happening. Now, as I told you, there's a shock poll. 84% of Americans believe they'll be worse off under a Biden second term. And that's been a shot heard around the world. And the liberals are just freaking out. They've tried to impeach him, didn't work. They tried to do all these other things of slandering, didn't work. They've tried all these silly indictments. Most Americans are aware these are silly. They've actually tried to do state level, because if you know anything about the law, there's certain limitations the federal can have mixing into a state level court. But Tom Fenton brought up an excellent point today on one of the podcasts I was listening. Tom Fenton says what needs to happen is an AG from, say, Texas, Alabama, Tennessee. They need to sue the state of New York, saying that you are interfering with our election by attacking the primary GOP candidate. And by having one state then suing another state, it opens up then the Supreme Court, because that's when they can get involved. When you start having states disagreeing with one another, the Supreme Court, as a federal overseeing jurisdiction, can come down then and say, now, wait a minute, you're right. What they're doing in New York is affecting Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, and other conservative states by doing all they can to cripple and hinder, Donald Trump. They're trying to hinder his free speech while he's campaigning with gag orders. They're trying to hinder his ability to travel by demanding he be in some of these courts. And they're also hindering him in other ways, and, of course, financially, which has backfired because now Donald Trump has raised over $400 million. So you're seeing a huge frustration among, I believe, the liberals, because they have nothing left. Well, the one thing they have, which is interesting, is a bill, and I was made aware of it today. Let's see if I can pull it up for you. And it just pretty much says it's going to give them the ability to send him to prison without Secret Service protection. Now, hang on just a second. I'm pulling it up. And the Apple phones aren't my friend when I need them to be. But here you go. Ranking Member Thompson introduces legislation to ensure no Secret Service protection for convicted felons sentenced to prison. Now, why would they bring this up now? I mean, Democrats bringing stuff like this up now, they're just, they're feeding the fire of their complete obsession with trying to get Trump unelectable. And they're afraid of him. They know they can't beat him in a head-on election. So today, Representative Bernie C. Thompson, a Democrat from Mississippi, and ranking member on the Committee of Homeland Security, et cetera, they bring forth a bill that ensures no Secret Service protection for convicted felons sentenced to prison. And here it's highlighted, unfortunately, current law doesn't anticipate how Secret Service protection would impact the felon if put in prison, sentenced for any reason, even a former president they put in. It is regrettable that it has come to this, but this previously is the situation we're in. And what the bill is suggesting is that Secret Service would be removed from a convicted ex-president or person in power, and you would be under the protection then of the prison guards and the establishment, therefore, that you are serving. For instance, if Donald Trump is sentenced to Rikers there in New York, the Secret Service would not be allowed to come in and protect him. He would be at the mercy of the guards, much like Jeffrey Epstein was. Cameras forgot to be left on, and guards falling asleep, and being hung from a 4-foot bunk. Yeah, I think that's what they're wanting. They want to be able to Epstein Donald Trump, and I don't think the American people are going to put up with this. Now, Joe the Manchin, the Democrat, now independent senator from West Virginia, he came out and said, I cannot imagine that Donald Trump would spend any time behind bars or be sentenced to prison. He's the only Democrat I've heard say that. Now, Fetterman, who is becoming more sane by the day, which is rather interesting, who's come out speaking against Biden and is very much in favor of Israel, and he's very anti-Hamas. He was asked, and he says he doesn't believe Trump should be going to prison. So I should say that's two Democratic senators that have gone on the record saying they don't believe Donald Trump should go off to prison. Now, I will say this: if you ever have followed much in the legal system, usually a first-time offender, if it's your first time, they don't usually send you to jail unless you've killed somebody or you stole something, of great value. So this that they've accused him of is an felony, and it's still not been defined what he did. They've yet to define the law he broke, the rule he broke, or the person he's supposedly violated. They've just found him guilty of being a presidential candidate. That's bottom line. And I think a lot of people are saying, that's not acceptable. I don't think I like the way this is going. So I think in time you're going to find out that more and more people are going to be very much opposed to the treatment of Donald Trump the way they're treating him. And rightfully so, because I believe Donald Trump has gotten a bigger approval rating than they thought. Here's some recent polls, supporters, apart from issues. And I just thought this might be interesting. Check this out.
The first presidential debate is 20 days away. Less than 5 months from now is Election Day. And 90% of American voters already know who they're punching the ticket for. A new Pew Research poll shows just how little middle ground is left, as the two major political parties have taken hard stances on key issues. Here are some of the issues with the most polarizing results. When asked whether undocumented immigrants need to be deported, nearly 2/3 of Trump supporters are for deportation. 11% of Biden supporters are. 42% of Biden supporters believe abortion should be legal in all cases, and 88% believe it should be legal in some or all cases. 9% of Trump supporters believe abortion should always be legal, and 38% believe it should be in some or all cases. 86% of Trump supporters believe owning guns makes someone safer. 23% of Biden supporters felt the same. 59% of Biden supporters say a person can change their gender despite their sex assigned at birth. 9% of Trump supporters agree. The justice system isn't tough enough on criminals. 81% of Trump supporters and 40% of Biden supporters agree with that sentiment. 79% of Biden supporters say the legacy of slavery still impacts black communities. 27% of Trump supporters agreed. The partisan gaps on major issues has widened in recent decades. There is also the highest share in 3 decades of Americans who dislike the two-party system since the parties have become more polarized. Even in this politically divisive environment, there is still some middle ground. The majority of both Biden and Trump supporters believe in more needing to be done to address mental health.
The poll also found the parties have a shared skepticism over artificial intelligence. With such strong and opposing opinions from the two major political parties, it's left about 10% of U.S. voters nationwide and in swing states in the far minority of feeling undecided ahead of November. And with polls more often than not showing a tight race between Biden and Trump, that 10% of voters who don't fall so far one way or the other on the political spectrum could ultimately decide who wins the presidency. I'm Kara Rucker. For more election-related stories as we inch closer to Election Day, download the Straight Arrow News app or visit us at san.com.
So we'll see what happens, and this is Macil Duncan on the Macil Duncan Radio Show. I'll be back after the break.
Do you love God and do you love America? If you do, you're going to love this radio show, the Macil Duncan Radio Show, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. right here at Destiny Life Media 96.9 FM. You can also hear the show live and archives of the show at streetlevelamerica.com and usaheartbeat.com. Also hear it at macilduncanradio.com, Rumble, X, Truth Social, Facebook, and more. And we're working on growing the show nationwide. The Patriot Pastor of Appleton Baptist Church, he is Macil Duncan on the Macil Duncan Radio Show.
So a lot of folks have got different views on Caitlin Clark. She is the young lady that has taken basketball by storm, if you will, and kind of gave it a fever, as she's now with the Indiana Fever, little pun. But her net worth is pretty amazing for a young lady. Check this out.
Hey there, basketball fans. Meet Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's newest sensation. From smashing college records at the University of Iowa to dominating the pro scene, she's redefining success. With a net worth of $5 million and rising, her on-court prowess and off-court endorsements with Nike, State Farm, Gatorade, and others are making headlines. And now, with Nike renewing their deal in April 2024, there's no stopping her ascent to greatness. In Caitlin Clark's WNBA debut buzz, her rookie salary with the Indiana Fever stands out, starting at $76,535 for 2024 and reaching $97,582 by 2027, her earnings contrast starkly with NBA rookies. Clark's initial WNBA salary falls below six figures. As the top draft pick, Clark's $338,056 contract drew attention for its modesty compared to male NBA players. Lower draft picks receive even less based on the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement. Despite potential bonuses like the $5,150 for Rookie of the Year, Clark's WNBA pay still falls short compared to the NBA. Victor Wembanyama, the 2023 NBA top pick, earns over $12 million in his first year. This pay gap renews discussions on fair compensation for female athletes, reflecting disparities in revenue, season lengths, and collective bargaining agreements between the leagues. Caitlin Clark's basketball prowess led to lucrative off-court deals. Before her WNBA debut, she earned $3.1 million through endorsements with brands like Nike, Gatorade, and others. Despite her initial NIL deal ending, she's still involved in 10 others, with a $765,000 valuation, ranking her third in college women's NIL. She reportedly signed an 8-year, $28 million contract with Nike, the most lucrative deal for any female basketball player. As the NCAA Division I's all-time leading scorer and the WNBA's top draft pick, Clark's partnership with Nike includes a signature shoe. Despite offers from Under Armour and Adidas, $16 million over 4 years and $6 million over 4 years respectively, Clark chose Nike. The deal, announced on April 18th, will earn her $3.5 million per year, boosting her net worth alongside her WNBA earnings. So, Caitlin Clark is a force to be reckoned with in the world of basketball and beyond.
Look who's joining us for my favorite part of the day.
So, Caitlin Clark is taking on the basketball by storm, and you've got a lot of folks excited, and you got some that are ignited about it and don't see it as a good thing, or they're taking it as a challenge, if you will, which is sad, because I think she has tried her best to be nothing but a go along, get along gal. And you've got some, especially I think the veteran players that are being very petulant and showing their jealousy. And Caitlin Clark, though, was not picked to be on the Olympic team. And Lisa Leslie, if you remember, came out 3 months ago and said if the flight pulls out without Caitlin Clark on it for the Olympics, it would be a tragedy. So evidently she knew something, the great Lisa Leslie, that there must have been some scuttlebutt among veterans. And much like Michael Jordan kept Isaiah Thomas off the Dream Team, it looks like some of them have kept, for now, Caitlin Clark off the Olympic team.
Will have to wait at least 4 more years to become an Olympian. The Indiana Fever rookie left off of the USA Olympic roster. Clark says she isn't disappointed by the decision, calling Team USA the most competitive team in the world.
I'm excited for the girls that are on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and I know it could have gone either way of me being on the team, me not being on the team. So, I'm excited for them. I'm going to be rooting them on to win gold.
What was your level of disappointment not hearing your name on the roster?
Honestly, no disappointment. I think it just gives you something to work for. That's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, I can be there.
The Americans will go for their 7th straight Olympic gold medal in women's basketball this summer in Paris. Meanwhile, Clark told her coach this snub has, quote, awoken a monster. Joining us now, WNBA legend Rusha Brown. She is also on the board of directors of the National Basketball Retired Players Association. Welcome back. Always nice to talk to you. Was this the right move? Did Caitlin deserve a spot on that team?
Caitlin's been an amazing talent and draw for the WNBA since she joined us this year. But skill level, she's great. Experience level, we're not sure yet. And having played 10 years internationally, the international game is...
Okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but you put on rookies, Sue Bird, Taurasi, and Candace Parks, right out of college, just like her, with only a week or two exposure in the WNBA. So that blah, 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 blah just doesn't play very well. Here is Shannon Sharp saying what I think is true.
But I want to go last. Feels like, okay, you can go last, then I'll ask it to Shannon, but it's to you and Shannon. Is there any part of you, to their point, that you feel like this could actually, one, hurt Caitlin Clark because she's not in a position to succeed, and also hurts the integrity of the game in women's basketball if people are getting spots when they're undeserving? If you don't want to go, Shannon can take it.
I'll take it. I'll look at it like this, Molly. What better way is to get chemistry is to have Caitlin Clark, so these women, because we didn't talk about the Christine Brennan report that she had in USA Today, if I'm not mistaken, and talking about how some of the vets might have felt had Caitlin Clark not got the minutes that many people think she deserves. Think about the narratives and the questions. Narratives and questions are because we have people watching. Tell me the time that we've led the show that we've had this many conversations, a 30-minute block, a 40-minute block last week, talking about the WNBA. And we're talking about it for one reason. Let's not pretend ourselves. Let's not kid ourselves, guys. We want the integrity of the game, but if you want it to grow, you better have your most marketable players. That's why the first person when 1992, Stephen A., the very first person they reached out to was who? Michael Jeffrey Jordan, because they understood the most popular player needed to be on the biggest stage. We'll take anybody else that comes along. We gladly have Scotty and Charles and Malone and Ewing and Robinson. We love to have them, but we need that big dog. You need her, because she has more eyes watching her, talking about her, the jerseys being set. I don't believe, come on. Y'all make it seem like y'all gonna put women in college on the team. Come on, ladies. Like I said, I believe if you put her out there and let people see that she's really a great young lady, and that, hey man, she ain't trying to big time us. She doesn't think she's better than us because she has all these marketing dollars and everybody is talking about her. Man, she's one of the ladies. She's one of the homies. Let's kick it. Let's embrace her.
No one thinks that right now. I don't think anyone is jealous of the marketing dollars or the eyeballs. But go ahead, Andrea.
I don't want to jump. I don't want to go ahead, Andrea, because I want to stay on
go ahead,
topic
Stephen A.
before we go. No. Oh no, I'm gonna go last, Andrea. Go ahead and speak. Go ahead and speak.
I understand that you all. I understand the marketing perspective, but Shannon, in terms of building camaraderie, you can do that at the World Cup. You can do that at the Pan American Games. You could do that at a qualifying tournament. There are other opportunities to build Caitlin's chemistry with all of these women. You know when the best opportunity to do that is? At the All-Star Game. The All-Star Game.
Blah, 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 blah. These are apologists for being pretty much racist. They don't like a white, straight Christian girl outshining them. That's the bottom line. And if you don't believe me, listen to Stephen A. Smith. See what you think.
I'm not going to mention his name, but I had somebody that's well-renowned in this business, in this journalism business, use the word tragic. Andrea, he used the word tragic to describe what you're expressing. There is an absence in what you're saying of the big picture. You went on a soliloquy just minutes ago talking about how you're not willing to compromise your integrity. Nobody is talking about individuals compromising their integrity. We don't have to go there. I'm not compromising my integrity. Shanae isn't, you ain't, Shannon ain't, nobody. That's not what this subject is about. This is about history and what history has shown us and our willingness to open our eyes and pay attention to the reality, not to utopia, not to what we want something to be, but what it actually is. You lose me, Shanae loses me, and any human being is going to lose me when we're literally focusing on the content or the quality of a roster without bringing up the fact that one individual, a two-time champion, a national champion on the collegiate level, one of the greatest players to ever play in NBA history by the name of Isaiah Thomas, was left off the original Dream Team. Isaiah Thomas. You've got to be kidding me. It was a travesty what they did to him. They put John Stockton on the squad. I know he's a Hall of Famer. I know Isaiah introduced him. I know they're buddies. But that was highway robbery. Anybody with two eyes that watch the NBA knows that is one of the biggest crimes in the history of Olympic competition. There is no reason why Isaiah Thomas should not have been on that, off of that team outside of certain players not wanting him on there. My point is this. It was still done. Why? Because as Shannon highlighted, the ultimate appeasement was aimed in the direction of another brother by the name of Michael Jordan. It's how it goes. And we said it last week. And I personally got accused of not promoting the WNBA more by our lovely colleague, Monica McNutt. No problems with her whatsoever. Love her to death. But she accused me of that, right? No problem. Then we go on to acknowledge there are many others who didn't do enough of a job of promoting the WNBA. You know why we didn't do a better job of promoting the WNBA? Because the numbers, the eyeballs, the interest, the sizzle, the headlines were not there. No one cared. The public didn't care. And so now you have somebody, that has the world caring, and you say to her, well, you know what? We want to make purely basketball decisions. It's the right thing to do, and we got to be worried about how other people are going to feel. But you're still complaining about the max salary being $250,000. You're still complaining about the absence of eyeballs. You're still complaining about the lack of headlines and notoriety and pub and cachet. You're complaining about all of these things. And the one person who has proven they can alleviate that concern, that could ultimately serve to benefit the better whole, now we want to sit up there and get all altruistic and stuff and talking about, hey, it's about the sanctity of the game and the level of competition. You're going to win by 30 without
her. Stephen A. Smith, you're speaking my language. He's basically calling them out for being hypocrites. They've always put, like the guys would put Christian Laettner on, they've always put at least one college player on since they've allowed professionals to participate in the Olympics. And like you said, they'll win by 30 points with or without her. The team's stacked. And this was a blatant. This is nothing but a pure jealousy factor. There's no doubt. They don't like. She doesn't fit. She doesn't check their boxes. She's a white Christian straight girl who plays good ball. Okay, and there's been 2 or 3 young ladies that have left the WNBA because they were straight. One lady was African American, one was white. And they said they were targeted. They don't want people with different moralities in the locker room or on the platform. And what's amazing, like Stephen A. Smith says, they complain about the salaries and the amenities. And here you got someone that could help them out. And all they did was piss her off. And she put the text to her coach. They awakened a monster. And then she hit 30 points last night. Caitlin, I hope you'll just say, listen, see you, wouldn't want to be you. You do what you got to do, and we'll see what happens. This is the Patriot Pastor Macil Duncan. I'll be back after the messages.
A battle over electric vehicles is heating up in China. The CEOs of rival Chinese EV brands, BYD and Huawei, exchanging a war of words. Huawei acknowledged the ultra-low prices of their competitor, insinuating that BYD is able to offer such cheap EVs because they lack in other areas, including comfort, safety, quality, and more. BYD quickly hit back at the criticism, challenging Huawei to put their vehicles toe-to-toe with their own products. One official at BYD said they would invite Huawei to showcase their cars together on the same stage, allowing people to decide for themselves which one is better. BYD also took a swing at the U.S. and European auto industries, as American tariffs on Chinese EVs have already been raised to 100%, with Europe expected to implement a rate hike of their own soon. BYD CEO saying these moves were made out of fears that Chinese EVs will be stronger than what U.S. and European brands can offer. This all comes amid ongoing competition over EV prices between Chinese automakers. Part of the reason these vehicles are so cheap in China is because domestic brands are trying to outdo each other, and that has actually hurt the profits of Chinese car companies. The average profit margin for China's auto industry slid to 5%, its lowest level in at least a decade. As the electric vehicle transition continues, companies around the world are constantly shifting strategies to keep up with this ever-evolving landscape. To hear more stories like this one, download the Straight Arrow News app and sign up for alerts from me, Jack Almer, so you never miss a thing.
Judy, Glennis Zapata's name was up in lights as Miss Indiana Latina in 2011. Tonight, she is named in a federal grand jury indictment and facing drug trafficking charges. Zapata had been working lately as a flight attendant, but according to federal authorities, was also attending to the movement of drug cartel cash on board jetliners into Mexico. In 2011, Glennis Zapata was the smiling beauty queen of Lafayette, Indiana. As Miss Lafayette Latina, Zapata became a contestant in the state contest and won. The 2011 Miss Indiana Latina won't be on a court in 2024. She'll be in it. Tonight, she is named in this indictment by a federal grand jury in Chicago, charged with transporting hundreds of thousands of dollars in drug proceeds while working as a commercial flight attendant on planes including this one, first reported by the ABC 7i team in 2022. This private jet landed here at Gary, Indiana Airport from Mexico with 220 pounds of cocaine packed in several suitcases. Cartel operatives arrested in the private jet have already been prosecuted and imprisoned. According to the new indictment, Glennis Zapata is charged with her sister, 33-year-old Elenis, also from Lafayette, an Indiana bank employee who allegedly helped launder drug proceeds by swapping low-denomination bills for higher ones. A second bank employee is also charged. Authorities say the kingpin of the drug trafficking organization is this man, 41-year-old fugitive Oswaldo Espinoza, alias Scrambler. From 2018 to 2023, Espinoza allegedly moved cocaine from Mexico to Chicago and other cities, using warehouses, garages, and stash houses here to inventory the drugs and cash. For Glennis Zapata, her arrest is a fall from the glory of her beauty pageant days, 2011, when she was heralded as the first Latina pageant winner from Indiana ever to make the top 10 at the U.S. pageant. Within the past few minutes, bail reports have been posted in Chicago federal court for both of the Zapata sisters, indicating they're now in custody. A court schedule has not yet been posted for the newly accused drug traffickers. This case has a lot of layers, has been underway for at least the last couple of years.
Watch. So that was ABC News Chicago, and as they talked about the two sisters there, I'm going to go back into the story I shared at the 3 o'clock hour. Sex trafficking warning by parents with college-bound daughters. If you happen to have daughters going off to college or in college, you might give this a listen. Evidently, this mom and dad are very concerned. Their daughter has not been able to be contacted in months, but she's now appearing in multiple sex videos that has been sent to them, and they're finding out that she has a handler. But because she will not say she's abducted, the authorities cannot intervene. So it's important, parents, that you have talks with your children, because sometimes these folks will do a lot of psycho games with girls and make them feel like, hey, if you don't cooperate, we'll harm your parents, we'll harm those you love, etc. They'll do all kind of threats, and you need to tell them, listen, you never let someone violate you. You always be prepared to talk to the police. But sex trafficking warning from some parents. This, by the way, if you have any kids in the car, you might turn the channel. This is a little graphic, but I think parents need to know this.
A warning tonight for parents sending their daughters off to college. Young female college students are being targeted and coerced into becoming sex workers.
Local parents of a young woman who's believed to be currently sex trafficked say every parent needs to hear their story and take note.
Wake up. This is going on college campuses. It's rampant. You don't think your daughter's going to be a victim of it? You need to pay attention.
Those Jacksonville area parents who just spoke say that they have not heard from their daughter in months.
She was a student at the University of Florida who now appears in sex videos on various adult social media websites. News4Jax reporter Eric Avignez here with why her parents and investigators believe this is a case of sex trafficking, Eric, with a legal loophole.
Legal loophole. It is considered a legal loophole when a suspected adult victim tells authorities she is okay and is appearing in sex videos of her own free will. But investigators in this case believe the 22-year-old woman is being forced to say she is okay, and until she comes forward and admits that she is being threatened to appear as if everything is okay, authorities say they cannot arrest the man who is believed to be her handler. Both her parents and a list of investigators in this case say there are obvious signs that she is being sex trafficked. Now, because the man suspected of being her handler has not been charged with a crime, we are not identifying him. We are also not identifying the parents of the 22-year-old because she is believed to be a victim in all of this.
This whole situation is set up as a money-making way of selling our daughter online.
This Northeast Florida mom and dad say the last time they spoke with their 22-year-old daughter was back in December. They said they received a disturbing phone call from her. She was in North Carolina.
It was first a cry for help that alarmed us.
Then moments after hanging up the phone and preparing for the long drive to North Carolina, a second phone call from his daughter.
It was a cry not to help. And it was which was really confusing, and it led to, a long conversation that she was fearful for us, that she'd never be able to see us again.
This is heartbreaking for the parents because before their daughter met a man online who is now described as her handler, their daughter always came home from college every other week to be with her family. Some of her clothes are still hanging in the closet in her bedroom at her parents' home, and these are Christmas presents she never opened.
She's being completely isolated from each person, from everybody in her life, not just her family, but are friends, and so we're seeing this pattern that's completely unlike anything that we ever experienced before she went off to college.
Mom and Dad received more heartbreaking news when they contacted their daughter's friends and classmates at UF. They told the parents the man their daughter met on Instagram, who befriended her, is also the same man who coerced her into posting adult content on the OnlyFans website. OnlyFans is a subscription-based video-on-demand service and social media website that some argue is primarily used by amateur and professional sex workers who produce pornography. The parents of the 22-year-old also learned their daughter was not the only female student at UF who was approached by the same man about appearing in sex videos.
I am asking for every pro-Trump.
So that you can catch this. It's online. Sex trafficking warning for parents with college-bound daughters, and they use the term "wake up." It's very heartbreaking. And having 3 daughters now, all mine are out of college. They're married now, but I can feel for them. I guess my heart just goes out because I can't imagine how I would handle that, especially if my daughter cried out for help and then called back and said, "Don't." They're afraid for my safety. No father wants to think that they can't protect their daughter and go in and provide her a rescue. This is the last bit of the testimony.
And he would not take no for an answer, and we're speaking up to the tune of $1,000 or so or more to participate in some type of video.
The parents of the 22-year-old put me in contact with one of her friends who was also a UF classmate. She was uncomfortable with her voice or image being recorded for the...
So that's what's going on, is you have these parents that have a 22-year-old daughter who has been pretty much put into the sex trafficking. And when they went down to Florida and talked with the classmates, there seems to be issues. So anyway, keep them in your prayers. We don't have to know all the names. God knows the names. And I would just like to say a prayer if I could right now. Father God, I ask you to be with that family, the young lady, Lord. Lord, I pray you provide her a hero, a rescuer. God, get her out of that environment and reunite her with her family. Lord, I pray she can find favor and safety. And Lord, the guy that's doing this oppression, God, only you know the best way to handle him. We leave him in your hands, Father. And God, I pray you find a way to subdue him so that she can be set free. And I pray for the mom and dad and the rest involved in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, it is 4:12, about to go to our 4:15 break. But before we do, I want to remind you that I have a book, Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith That Can Overcome. I have a desire to write more books, but right now this is my first. And if you would buy it, read it, give me a response back on the response there, especially on Amazon. We appreciate all those that get involved and help with this. But Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith. I talk about several topics in there. One is the 12-hour limit, anger limit, how we're not to hold grudges. I also have a chapter in there on bitterness. If you know someone that's battling being bitter with life, you might buy them the book. I also have several chapters about faith and how you can encourage your faith and build your faith. It's just a very practical book. I put some funny stories about me personally and my life in there. And I just appreciate all that like and share the information. And if you'd like to get a copy of the book, you can go to Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, wherever you get your online books. We appreciate all that like and share and tell folks about the book, Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith That Can Overcome. Also, I was on the podcast Friday night for 2 hours of Faith, Family, and Politics. It's in the Midwest, and it's a very large podcast, and I appreciate Joshua Cummings for having me on the show. Feel free to look that up. I've shared it, the episode on the Macil Duncan Championship Ministry page if you'd like to go there. But I was asked to be a guest. They have a team of 4 that discuss various topics, and I was asked to come in and talk about Things like, why did we stay open and not shut down during the pandemic? Of course, they asked about my book, how we our food pantry and feeding the hungry, and different things. And we just talked about life and current events. So if you'd like to check it out, that's Faith, Family, and Politics, Joshua Cummings. And Pastor, salute to you, my friend Josh. He's been on my show before, and I'll have him back soon. And at 5 o'clock, I'll be having my good friend Ankush. I don't pronounce his name great. He's from India. He's working on being an American citizen. He's one of my listeners in New Jersey, and he'll be calling at 5 o'clock to talk about his home country of India and the historic re-election of the president there. It's the first time ever, that multiple term, and interesting stuff. So we'll go to the break now, and what I've got for you is a thing about tips. A third of Americans say tipping culture is out of control, or and they don't seem to practice tipping. Check this out.
More and more Americans are starting to think tipping culture is getting out of control, according to a new survey. That same survey also found people are getting stingier when it comes to tipping for certain services. The survey by finance comparison site Bankrate looked at multiple categories, including tipping restaurant waitstaff, rideshare and taxi drivers, hairdressers, and food delivery drivers. It found tipping frequency across all categories have declined over the past few years. Bankrate found the number of Americans who think tipping culture has gotten out of control is up 5% from last year to 35%. It also found a little less than 2/3 have some negative perception of tipping. Older generations like baby boomers and Gen Xers have more negative attitudes about tipping. Bankrate found 72% of baby boomers and 62% of Gen Xers reported having at least one negative view on the matter. It was lower for younger generations, with 51% of millennials and 45% of Gen Zers reporting at least one negative take. While the survey found that negative views on tipping tend to increase with age, older Americans still tend to tip more at restaurants. 86% of baby boomers say they always leave a tip when dining at sit-down restaurants, compared to only 35% of Gen Zers. And while the survey found the percentage of people who always tip for services like a haircut, eating at a sit-down restaurant, or taking a taxi ride all increased slightly compared to last year, each is down at least 7% compared to 2021. The survey also found quality of service is still the biggest factor for most tippers. 64% of people said the amount they tip is based on service. However, 10% said they always tip the same amount regardless of service quality.
Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Today we go to Israel, and the fighting on Israel's northern border is now intensifying. There are an average of 10 terrorist attacks a day. Yesterday, a Hezbollah drone injured 11 people and killed one IDF soldier in the Galilee.
Well, most Israeli citizens have evacuated communities near Israel's border with Lebanon. CBN News contributor Chuck Holton reports from the front lines of the impact of these assaults.
Last month marked the highest intensity of Hezbollah aggression against Israel since October, growing to an average of 10 incidents per day. The terror organization has used various weapons to target civilian areas, forcing more than 60,000 people to evacuate their communities. One such place is Malkia Kibbutz, located right on the border. When everyone else left, Eitan Oren stayed behind to keep the farm alive.
Here in Malkia, we are in normal days about 550 to 600 people in normal days. At the moment, about 15.
Don't buy another.
So that was CBN News reporting. So interesting enough, we've got a lot happening, and I think a lot of people are aware that the news right now, people have a lot of various opinions from tipping, as we heard in that report, but also over in Israel. The interesting thing is the senator from Pennsylvania has become sounding more conservative. Fetterman, who many couldn't feel he could put a complete sentence together, went into the hospital, and we noticed a couple of things. One, he came out speaking better. All of his tattoos are gone, and he's leaning to the right. So 3 amazing things that a lot of folks still can't explain, especially those tattoo removals, but we'll leave that for you to speculate. But he is now criticizing Biden for not supporting Israel more and believes Hamas has brought all this on themselves. If you want to go check out the interview he did with Greg Jarrett on Fox News, it was rather interesting. But he also has become a bit of a critic, if you will, a soft critic of Biden, thinking that we should not be stopping the ammunition and the supplies to Israel or delay them. We should immediately treat them as we should as an ally. And so, very interesting to see a Democrat going against the grain. He also seems to not think that Donald Trump deserves to go to prison, and neither does West Virginia, the senator there, who's now declared himself an independent. So it's going to be interesting. But then you have others, James Comey, the former director of the FBI, coming out claiming that Donald Trump should go to jail, and you have all these pundits and people. So the thing that's really I think amazing some people is how now the new shocker poll shows that Donald Trump right now there's 84% of Americans believe they will be worse off under a second term of Biden. Now that doesn't mean they're all voting for Trump, but 84% of voting Americans believe they would be worse off under a second Joe Biden term. That's a huge, huge number, because you know that involves a lot of Democrats and a lot of independents. Now, you know Republicans believe that, but if 84% of Americans, voting Americans, that, my friend, would have to send a message, which I'm sure they're getting on a regular basis, that Joe Biden may not be their candidate. Now, there's been talks of him walking away. There's talks that he might, for illness reasons, or maybe for just various reasons, he might just step away and let Kamala Harris try to take the reins of the campaign and actually go against Donald Trump. Many feel what will happen is this first debate with Biden, it will be a big truth teller. Because can he go 90 minutes against Trump and be cognitive and alert? And that right there tells you something. If you are in doubt or questioning that your candidate can last for 90 minutes in a presidential debate, there's got to be major concern behind the scenes. And that's where I think a lot of folks are sensing that the Republicans feel pretty good about Donald Trump's chances against Biden. Not to mention the Democrats are doing nothing but trying to keep Donald Trump in some kind of legal jeopardy. You know, they've tried to impeach him twice. They've tried the Russian dossier. Now it's been proven that was paid for by the DNC and Hillary Clinton. So their tricks and their failures have been many. These now state-led convictions of Trump. But Tom Fitton, who was on a podcast today, brought up a great illustration. He said what needs to happen is Texas, Alabama, Tennessee. There needs to be some attorney generals from other states suing the state of New York and saying that you're interfering in our fair election process by continually to harass and hinder the leading candidate and hindering his free speech, his freedom to travel and be at rallies, etc. We are suing you, the state of New York. By doing that, when states have inner conflict, then you can bring in the Supreme Court. It's a brilliant move, and I thought Tom Fitton, as he laid it out today, was possibly signaling out to the Trump legal team, this would be a slam dunk way to really get into the Supreme Court's heart. Because I think deep down you've got Alito and Thomas and some of them that would really like to come to the rescue of Donald Trump. But you have others like Roberts and them that flip-flop in the middle. But I think they have to admit if they don't intercede and stop this, this will become the norm. And does anyone want, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, the norm now to be trying to legally prosecute your opposition? I think this is very much, it's sickening to the American people. I don't see how this is going to help Biden at all. I think it's really backfired, trying to call Trump a convicted felon. And then, of course, then Trump just embraced it and says, I'm a political prisoner. Everything they've thrown at him has done nothing but help him. He's now more popular than he's ever been. He's now raised more money than he's ever raised. He's over $400 million now since the conviction. So you've got to ask yourself, when will the Democrats just realize we need to shut up and just try to beat him fair and square at the ballot box? Which I think now they realize they can't with Biden. So I believe now more than ever they'll make some kind of a switch. Now the QAnon people believe it's going to be a female because several posts would make reference, when will they switch to her, meaning a female? And many folks thought back in the day that would be Hillary Clinton. Then there's some thinking, oh, it was Michelle Obama. Well, now it seems pretty clear because I don't think they can get enough signatures in all 50 states for Michelle Obama or Hillary Clinton to run. So the her would have to be Kamala Harris because she is on all the ballots, savvy? Now, what Kamala Harris could do is Kamala Harris could, if Joe Biden stepped down and said, listen, I'm not running, he can either remain president or step down and make her the first female president here in the last 5 months. That would be historic. Let her kind of run on that and see if that doesn't jack up some of the emotions. And then she could pick a female running mate, Michelle Obama. Now, I wouldn't pick Hillary Clinton if you want to live and breathe. I think everyone that gets near Hillary and you're on ahead of her, she finds a way to take you out. But just I'm just trying to entertain the thoughts. If Kamala Harris became the nominee for the Democratic Party, it would be interesting. Who would she pick as her VP? Because you got everyone wondering who is Donald Trump going to pick. But Kamala Harris is young. She, whether you like it or not, she is a senator. Of course, she's from California, so she's got that side of the country. You would possibly want someone either from the South or someone from the Midwest. And so you kind of wonder who would she pick? And would the Democrats allow her? That'd be the thing. But I don't know. I'm trying to, but I wonder, could it be possibly? This is just a spitball what if. What if Kamala Harris is going to run and she picks Joe Manchin as her VP? The recently senator announcing he's not running for re-election, okay, and he's an independent. Now think about that. That would help neutralize Kennedy, who's a Democrat, who is now labeled an independent, and the We the People Party. I'm just spitballing here, telling you, what if? But what if Kamala Harris, Biden steps down, she becomes the girl? I could see where Joe Manchin would be a very big help to anyone's campaign. He was never far left. The progressives never really liked him. Now, he's liberal, but he's more of a moderate. He leans he's central left, and he's the one that would give Biden the most pushback of any of the Democrats. So folks that are Democrats that didn't care for Biden would probably see him as, hey, somebody that they could relate to. And like I said, he would have the ability, possibly, to win back some of the independent Democrat minds, if you will, that Kennedy has taken down his strip. Now, the other far-reaching possibility would be, what if Kamala Harris talked Kennedy into being her vice president and bringing in his support? That's another. I mean, just saying a lot of what ifs. And this is all if Biden chooses not to run. So I think this first debate will be it's going to be very pivotal for the future of Joe Biden. Because if he crashes and burns dismally, and they know that he's going to lose and lose big, he's out. They'll find a way to get him out, if not already. I mean, when he had the moment where people thought he pooped on himself over at the World War II deal over in Europe. You know, that wasn't good. When they had to escort him out, he didn't even address the troops like he was supposed to. Or the veterans, I should say. They're just his decline is so obvious. So obvious. Well, we're about to go to break. We've not had our commercial being able to play as well, but I've got a couple of news breaks that might also be something that you'd like to hear. Because as you start thinking about the future of your country and the future of your for your kids and your grandkids, I mean, we all start thinking. I know I think that way. What kind of country am I leaving behind for my children and their children? It makes you think about the littlest of things, and there's a lot going on. And I think a lot of us have to be honest and say, you know, what are the polls saying? What's going on? So here is a little news clip explaining in about 2-minute segment about the Trump versus Biden in the polls. And I don't think anyone's shocked, but Trump's doing pretty well.
The first presidential debate is 20 days away. Less than 5 months from now is Election Day. And 90% of American voters already know who they're punching the ticket for. A new Pew Research poll shows just how little middle ground is left, as the two major political parties have taken hard stances on key issues. Here are some of the issues with the most polarizing results. When asked whether undocumented immigrants need to be deported, nearly 2/3 of Trump supporters are for deportation. 11% of Biden supporters are. 42% of Biden supporters believe abortion should be legal in all cases, and 88% believe it should be legal in some or all cases. 9% of Trump supporters believe abortion should always be legal, and 38% believe it should be in some or all cases. 86% of Trump supporters believe owning guns makes someone safer. 23% of Biden supporters felt the same. 59% of Biden supporters say a person can change their gender despite their sex assigned at birth. 9% of Trump supporters agree. The justice system isn't tough enough on criminals. 81% of Trump supporters and 40% of Biden supporters agree with that sentiment. 79% of Biden supporters say the legacy of slavery still impacts black communities. 27% of Trump supporters agreed. The partisan gaps on major issues has widened in recent decades. There is also the highest share in 3 decades of Americans who dislike the two-party system since the parties have become more polarized. Even in this politically divisive environment, there is still some middle ground. The majority of both Biden and Trump supporters believe in more needing to be done to address mental health. The poll also found the parties have a shared skepticism over artificial intelligence. With such strong and opposing opinions from the two major political parties, it's left about 10% of U.S. voters nationwide and in swing states in the far minority of feeling undecided ahead of November. And with polls more often than not showing a tight race between Biden and Trump, that 10% of voters who don't fall so far one way or the other on the political spectrum could ultimately decide who wins the presidency. I'm Kara Rucker. For more election-related stories as we inch closer to Election Day, download the Straight Arrow News app or visit us at san.com.
So that's interesting as you think about these polls and the impact that's happening right now, because Donald Trump is pretty much tearing up the polls. He's leading in all the swing states. He's tied in Virginia, and of course many feel he's probably going to win Virginia. We'll see. But it's just going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't know about you, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. Hunter Biden trial. Jury begins deliberations in the felony gun case. I've not said a whole lot about it because I feel much like the Donald Trump trial. If his name wasn't Biden, I don't think he'd be getting this treatment. And I'm not defending him. I know his laptop is full of crap, and he is their family. and some feel, well, they got Capone on IRS violations and not on the egregious things he did. I realize that. And the FBI, I think, and the Justice Department went after the lightest of charges, because they could have went after Biden for his trade dealings that were obviously legal, or his potential, his laptop showing that he had sex with minors and he had drug issues. The gun thing is the easiest, or I guess the lightest, if you will, for the administration and for Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden has come out and said he will not pardon his son. Now, Joe Biden says a lot of things and changes his mind. So it could be interesting, or he may make a deal with Kamala if Hunter Biden is convicted. He might say, listen, Kamala, I'll step away, but you pardon my son. It would look a whole lot better optics-wise if Kamala pardoned him than if he pardoned his own son. But I don't see any way that Biden leaves office without making sure his son is jail-free. What parent wouldn't do that? I'm just saying, now there's some that say, hey, you do the crime, do the time. And I understand that, but there's not many parents that have that ability these days. And the Bidens are not known for morality, integrity, or anything of that nature that gives me the assurance that they would keep his word. So we will see, but that is interesting. Trump had to be interviewed in New York today by a probation officer since he was found guilty. If he is not put in prison, but has to do some kind of community service, he will have to evidently meet monthly with a probation officer that's assigned by the court. That's, of course, meant to humiliate him, but it is a process. Unless the Supreme Court steps in and says, hey, this is going away, this is out of hand. But we shall see. We shall see. Kia, Honda, Toyota, and Ford among 687,000 recalled because there's such evidently such a recall because of these EVs. People aren't buying them. People just aren't buying the EVs, and they're trying to ram it down your throat. Now, the interesting thing, Duncan in Virginia is trying to get a bill switched back because California, as you all know, I think it's almost 2 years ago, released a bill, and they were waiting for a Democratic president to release it under, saying that they will be, by the year 2030, it'll be illegal to sell combustion engines. Everything will have to be electric. Okay? I'm not saying it, I don't know if it means that they won't sell gasoline, because there obviously will be still some petroleum vehicles and buses and trucks, etc. But it says they won't be able to sell in the state of California combustion vehicles. So all car dealerships will have to go to EVs, okay? And so you're seeing a lot of dealerships now, the concern, and they're leaving the state of Florida, said we can't sell these things. So that's going to be interesting to see, but they had a lot of trigger laws. Virginia was one of 14 states that had a law on the books, and it basically said when California does their law on the green issues, blah, 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 this law comes into effect. It's much like the conservatives had the trigger laws on abortion. They knew Roe versus Wade was going to get overturned. Evidently, it's something that they communicate. And so knowing that would happen, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, many of the southern states had trigger laws already passed by conservative government in the state level, saying that once it goes federal, they're going to comply. A trigger law means it pulls the trigger and fires it. So that's what's happening now in a lot of states, and Virginia is one with this EV and these electric vehicles. But there's such a rebuke of the people. The EVs aren't selling like they thought they would, and the economy is so bad. People are just not able to afford them. They're so much more expensive, and not to mention that the replacement battery. They're finding out within 36 months to 42 months, within 3 to 4 years, you have to buy a replacement battery. Replacement batteries on EVs range from 18 grand to 32 grand, depending on the year and make. So that's almost a whole second car, especially if you're middle class or a good used car. So a lot of folks are saying, why would I buy a vehicle that's way more expensive than a combustion engine, and then in 3 years I've got to buy another battery? I don't think so. It's much like when you buy a Suzuki Boulevard motorcycle. I don't know if you know this because I own a Harley too, but I owned a Suzuki Boulevard, and they don't tell you when you buy it, but after your first 3,000 miles, you have to pay for what it's pretty much a super duper oil change, a one-time oil change, and it's close to $500. And then after that, there's another mark of the engine that requires a $1,500 repair. Okay, so that's an extra $2,000 if you buy a Suzuki Boulevard. I had a 2013 black pipe 1300 engine. It was beautiful. But I traded it in on the Harley right before I had to pay the $1,500 engine maintenance thing, because I thought, why would I pay that? That's down payment on a Harley. So, but you don't know those things till you buy the car. See, I didn't know until I bought the vehicle. And I think that's what a lot of folks, when they're buying these EVs, they don't realize, oh, shabam, a replacement battery is going to cost me a lung and a kidney? I don't think so. But as they're finding this out, that's one of the reasons why people are saying, I don't think I want to buy electric vehicles. It's not so much that it's so expensive now. It's what it's going to cost me 2 and 3, 4 years down the road. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Now, if you got money to burn, okay. But most of us aren't in that category. So it's something to keep in mind. Well, we're coming up on the quarter hour. And as we've got a couple of things here I want to talk to you about. One is, let's see. Ben Shapiro and John MacArthur discussed the church, Jesus, and a return to biblical morality. John MacArthur happened to be on vacation, and so he somehow, Ben Shapiro, who is a Jew, he hated Trump. He still doesn't really like Trump, but he claims to be a conservative. I've got questions about Shapiro. But anyway, I like John MacArthur, and so he asked the pastor some interviews, or some questions in an interview, and a call to return to biblical morality amid plummeting church attendance across the United States. And the two discussed the decline of religiosity, if you will, in America, and how many churches have twisted the Bible to be more in line with woke culture. They also discussed how modern secularists have embraced moral relatively and rejected any claim of a higher power. So during the conversation, Shapiro asked MacArthur, the pastor of Grace Community Church in Sun Valley, California, how people looking for a biblical truth determine what is biblical, believing church that's worth their time, and verse a church that maybe has a Pride Progress flag hanging off the door or on inside the church and speaking ill of the gospel. See, and he goes on to say this: a church that is faithful to Scripture, a synagogue that is faithful to Scripture bears more authority. MacArthur said that. I mean, it exists to say, that is that what the Lord has said. This is what God requires. This is divine mandate. That is morality that leads a blessing and disobedience, and disregard for this morality leads to cursing. I think a lot of folks believe that are firm believers in the Word of God, that when you stray from the biblical principles, you open yourself up to curses or losing blessings and losing favor of God. And it's obvious as you read Scripture, there were times when the men and women of God, when they got into sin, they found the favor of God maybe pulled away, and then when they repented, they were able to maybe get it back. But there were some that battled, and like the King Saul, he constantly battled with flesh and selfishness, and he never truly got back in the grace of God. Therefore, God brought David up onto the scene. Now, David struggled with morality issues. You remember he had the sin with Bathsheba, and I call it the first HBO movie. HBO standing for having Bathsheba over. He had sexual relations with a married woman, had her husband killed. He broke all 10 commandments, basically. But yet he was known as a man after God's own heart. Unlike Saul, who never would repent fully, David would. There's a difference. And there's something in my life. You know, you will sin. There's no doubt. But do you repent to a point that you can find the grace and the purity back in your heart? Now, Psalms 51 was what David wrote after he had sinned against Bathsheba. And 2 years later, Nathan, the young prophet, came to him and pretty much rebuked him. And you know the story. He wrote the Psalms. It says, "Create in me a clean heart, O God. Remove not your spirit from me, but restore unto me the joy of your salvation." So he knew to have the joy of salvation, to have it restored, he needed a clean heart. He needed that renewal. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit in me, and restore unto me the joy of your salvation. There may be someone listening right now to the show, and you may be a Christian, someone of faith that says, you know, I'm allowing compromise in my life, and I know it's wrong. You might be going through a mental battle, a financial battle. You might be going through some other kind of battle, and you're saying, you know, I need to get my life right with God. And it's not always the easiest to do, but repenting before the Lord, let me tell you, I've never regretted when I've repented before the Lord. I've never once. And so there's something about getting with God and getting alone with Him. And just sometimes you just got to shed some tears. You know, turn off that phone, get a prayer journal, get the Word of God, say, God, I'm not leaving till you bless me. Read through Scripture. Maybe sing some praise song. And slow the world down and just enjoy the presence of God. I think a lot of us today, if you admit your quiet times are really not quiet at all. You allow your phone to play and other things to play, and you're not really letting the still small voice of God penetrate your being. And sometimes, you know, we've got to remember, even Jesus would sneak away, it says in Scripture, and go to the mountaintops to pray. And you remember when he prayed the night before his crucifixion, it said he had sweat drops of blood. That's some intense prayer. And he said, God, is there any other way? Is there any other way that I don't have to go through this horrific beating and crucifixion? And God said, no, son, that's the only way. And he went and he was asking his buddies to pray with him, and they kept falling asleep. You know, there may be times, and I may be speaking to another pastor out there, you may feel all alone. You may feel like your congregation has gone to sleep, your staff, your deacons. But I tell you, my friend, you stay awake. You stay fervent. Let the Spirit of God move. And there'll be a resurrection moment in your life and that church. Don't you doubt it. Don't you doubt God. He's got plans for you. And what I love about God is He is bigger. Greater is He that's in me than he that's in the world. And I've seen that played out so many times in my life, because so many times in my life, I get to thinking the sin or the situation is so big or so destructive or so monument. Lord, how in the world can we defeat this? And it's like God says, hey, just watch. Just watch. And He's able to do great and mighty things. You know, today I got a call from a vendor, a food vendor in the area. And they were so excited to hear about our homeless ministry. And sure enough, our homeless ministry, this may be trivial to you, but we give out Vienna sausages to all of our homeless people in the resource bag we put together. We put together a roll of toilet paper, bottled water, and other things. And we take them downtown to the veterans and the homeless. And we were out of Vienna sausages, believe it or not. And I get a call this morning, and Miss Karen from a local area store that helps us said she talked to the manager, and they have cases of Vienna sausages. She said, Pastor, I woke up and had that on my mind, them Vienna sausages and you helping others and helping the homeless. She's got a real heart for that. See, what she didn't know is we only had 3 cans left. We just did our last 200 bags, and we've only got 3 cans left in the storage. And yes, we could have gone out and bought some more, but for them to give us that 100 to 150 cans of Vienna sausages, that's what we would have went out and spent. Now, what are you saying, Macil? I'm saying that when you walk in the Lord and you just leave and trust Him, He provides. It may be 150, 200 cans of Vienna sausages. It may be rent. It may be a car payment. It may be something else. It may be a healing. But don't doubt the power of God. Something that I encourage you in. Well, at 5 o'clock hour in 10 minutes, we'll be having a call-in from Ankus from New Jersey. He's my friend. He's a listener from New Jersey, and you'll be able to tell by his accent. He's from India, and he's petitioning. He and his family have gone through the process to be legal citizens here in America. And great guy, loves America. And I've asked him to come on and help me understand, because there was a historic win in India for another term of presidency. This is the longest a leader has served in that capacity. Also, around the globe, we're seeing a lot of conservative victories, and France and Spain and some of them are seeing a conservative surge among the voters. And so with that happening, and then, of course, in America, 84%, it came out today, said they would be unhappy. They're not willing to go back into a Biden regime. 84% said they'll be worse off under a second term of President Joe Biden. So that was huge. And Joe Biden's approval rating is at its lowest now. I think it's 34.9%. That's making Jimmy Carter look like a rock star. And Donald Trump's numbers keep improving no matter what they throw at him. So it seems like globally, not just in America, but globally, the world is rejecting the woke culture and the woke mantra. And they're very much interested in conservatism. That's just what I'm seeing. So we'll talk about that when we come back. We got a couple of commercials here and a couple of things to share with you. And one being we've got the migrants make shocking admission saying they love Biden. This is Fox News. See what you think.
Not even a week into President Biden's border executive action, and Fox cameras exclusively capturing migrants illegally pouring across the San Diego border sector. Plus, Border Patrol agents getting word to let those people into the country. Matt Finn is live. He's along the Jacumba, California border with the latest for us. Matt?
John, all weekend long, we saw migrants illegally cross right here, coming from places like China, India, Egypt, Africa, and beyond. And just last week, President Biden promised that his new executive order would suspend illegal migrants from being released into the United States. But now a new Border Patrol memo obtained by Fox News seems to contradict what the president promised. That memo reads in part that agents here in the San Diego sector should continue mass releasing single adult migrants into the United States from all but 6 countries in the Eastern Hemisphere. That includes Russia, Moldova, and Kyrgyzstan, meaning all the migrants we are seeing in real time coming from China, Egypt, and beyond, they are being released on the honor system. The internal memo reads in part, Border Patrol agents are ordered to refer to ICE single adults from hard or very hard to remove countries. All other migrants are processed and released with a notice to appear on their own recognizance. Now, here in San Diego, we've been talking to migrants coming from all over the world, and many of them tell us they fly into Mexico and then are smuggled into the United States. Did you pay anyone to help you get here?
No. I just searched the internet and then follow those guys. I searched the internet. Hey, got a way can come here.
What do you think of President Biden?
Biden, I love Biden.
Yeah.
What do you think of President Biden?
Biden, I love Biden.
What do you think of President Biden?
Biden, I love Biden.
What do you think of President Biden?
Biden, I love Biden.
Why do you love Biden?
Because Biden, we love.
Why do you love him?
Biden help us.
And many of these migrants tell us that they, pay $10,000 and beyond to find these cartel coyotes or human smugglers to help them get here into the United States. John.
Wow. Anybody who thought that this executive order was going to change things, sadly mistaken. Matt Finn for us in Akumba. Matt, thank you.
So the executive order has been an executive failure, pretty much. And, of course, you heard where the guy says he loves Biden. I think it's pretty obvious, guys. This is nothing but a vote grab right before the election, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. We'll be back after the break.
Clark's exclusion from the United States women's national team for the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris continued to ignite significant negative feedback within the sports world. The roster is selected by the Women's Basketball Committee, whose members include South Carolina coach and former United States coach Dawn Staley, LSU assistant Simone Augustus, Old Dominion coach Delisha Milton-Jones, Connecticut Sun president Jennifer Rosati, and WNBA head of league operations Bethany Donovan. The decision not to include the Indiana Fever rookie, widely regarded as one of the most electrifying talents women's basketball has ever seen, has drawn sharp criticism from various sports commentators and personalities. It seems the committee, which has always fought for equal rights of fellow women, have messed up in plain sight and are stepping on their own. Caitlin Clark, who has the potential of elevating women's basketball, and has so far done so within a very short period. Dave Portnoy, founder of Barstool Sports, was particularly vocal, calling the decision the dumbest thing I've ever heard. In his typically blunt style, Portnoy lambasted those responsible for the decision, suggesting that their cognitive abilities should be scrutinized for their perceived stupidity. He didn't mince words in his video rant, expressing profound disappointment at the prospect of missing out on watching Clark play. "I'd rather watch grass grow. I'd rather watch paint dry," he said. "I'd rather watch dirt just be moved around because Caitlin Clark is not on the team. If she's there, it's appointment TV." Portnoy's passionate defense of Clark highlights the fervor with which fans and commentators view her potential impact on the court and in terms of drawing audience interest. Clark's dynamic play style and scoring ability have made her a must-watch player, and her absence from the Olympic roster feels like a missed opportunity for many. Colin Cowherd also joined the chorus of dissent, drawing a historical parallel to Christian Leitner, who made the 1992 Dream Team straight out of college. Cowherd argued that Clark, who he described as TV gold, should have been included for her ability to attract viewers and generate revenue. He highlighted the financial implications of excluding such a popular player, suggesting that the decision was short-sighted. Justine Turman of SiriusXM added to the critique, pointing out the irony of leaving out a player as popular as Clark in a sport that is actively trying to expand its reach. "Even if she stinks, which she doesn't, that's horrible vision," Turman posted. Her comments underscore the broader implications of the decision, suggesting that Clark's presence could have significantly boosted the visibility and popularity of women's basketball. U.S. soccer legend Alexei Lalas provided a blunt take on the matter, expressing his bewilderment at Clark's exclusion from the team. His reaction, along with those of other sports figures, reflects a widespread sense of disbelief and frustration. The collective outcry from these prominent voices underscores a broader consensus. Clark's exclusion from the Olympic team represents a missed opportunity.
So what we're finding out here, I think a lot of us are seeing, is that Caitlin Clark was intentionally left off the team. Now you can say for whatever you want reasons why, but she was left off the team. Well, I happen to have my friend Ankus from New Jersey calling in, and Ankus, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you doing today? It's a very beautiful weather over here. The temperature is early 70s, so it's nice and beautiful outside.
It is here too, my friend. We've got beautiful weather. So you're calling from New Jersey, and
Yep.
and you work with IBM. How long have you been a listener of my show? Has it been over 2 years now?
Yeah, approximately 2 years.
Yes. Is this is your third or fourth time being on the show, right?
I think third time. Yes.
Third time,
you're
yeah.
right.
So, but anyway, so just in case my listeners, some of them have said they love when I have you on because they love hearing because with us being in Chattanooga, Tennessee, hearing from someone up in the northern region of the country and stuff, it's just kind of refreshing to hear how things are going from others' perspective. So why don't you tell us what's going on up in New Jersey area and how do you see things going?
Oh, things are going pretty fast, and I'm pretty sure your viewers have seen when President Trump came a couple of weeks back in Wildwood, and we make a record number of 100,000 voters which show up on the beach over there. I was not able to go because I was under the weather that day. Now I have the VIP ticket too, but I was not able to go. And but it was a grand finale over there, and it clearly shows that in a blue states like New Jersey, people are getting rid of this gutter politics of New Jersey, blue state, and getting ready to turn it into at least purple, if not red. I would love if Jersey become the swing state like other states, swing states, Pennsylvania and others, and then turn into red in a couple of years down the line.
We know Virginia. Now I've got a friend that calls in on Wednesdays, Jolene Carter, and she watched her state turn from blue to red, and now it's kind of gone back bluish. But Youngston's still their Republican governor. Do you think, because Trump says he wants to go after the state of New York and flip it, do you think he has a chance of flipping New York?
I think he has a chance of flipping the whole America, leave New York.
Wow.
Because the thing is that we all are fed up of the anti-American policies of the Biden administration. See what happened yesterday in European Union. I'm pretty sure you have heard the news, right?
Yes. Yeah. Why don't you tell us your perspective? Well, I brought up that, but how the right wing has just had a huge sweep across Europe, and also in India, your home country, they elected him for another term, which is historic. So give me your take on all this.
I think that now the world is going towards the right. Now in India, it was a little shady this time because the Modi administration was not able to win the full majority, and they have to shake hand with other regional parties of the state because India is not a two-party state. It is like a multi-party, like we have in Israel or we have in France and Germany, Australia, UK. So if you do, or even Canada, right? So they have the multi-party. So this time it was a little shady. I was little bit, not happy with the results of the Indian election because more than around 1 billion voters voted this time, and approximately 960 million voters has gone to vote, which is humongous. It's almost 3 times of the population of America, but they have given their good results. Now they have let the Modi administration to come back the third time. But still, they have sent a clear message that we need unemployment to go away or reduce because India has a lot of unemployment too because it's a huge population too, and the same cases with America. If you see, every now and then I work in IT field, every now and then we have the issues with employment, we have the issues with inflation, we have the issues with running our kitchen and our other paying our other bills. People are moving to 2 and 3 jobs this time. The credit card is at the highest level. It's more than $2 billion. People of U.S. American people owe to the credit card. The same with the condition with Europe. They are funding the Ukraine war, but they are not bothered about what's going on with their own people. And that's why the new millennia, they have said, we are done with you. Enough is enough, okay? Now get the shut out of your policies, or we will take you out of your office. And that is And that the same is going to happen. The history will repeat itself on November 5th. I promise you that, Pastor. I promise you that history will repeat. It happened in India, then the second in European Union, and third will be the America. These are the three big economies of the world right now, right? And the democratic economies. I am not comparing China or Russia, which are not democratic, right? So the people have the power. They can swing anybody. They can shut anybody. They can make the king overnight anyone, you know.
Well, have you heard 84% of Americans just came out, polled, said they would not be happy under a Biden regime. Now, they didn't say they were voting for Trump, but 84%, that's Republican,
Because
Democrat,
his
Independent.
regime is a communist regime.
Yeah.
The way he is acting, he's sending our hard-earned money outside America. We have more than 10 million people who are homeless here. We have a food shortage very soon in America. I can give you right in the way he's acting. We will have stuff. Our stores will be empty. Shelves. We'll have empty shelves because he's not at all looking. A person. I respect him as a president of America because he's right now my president, but a person who is not able to walk properly, to think properly, to talk properly, how can he make the policies for a country?
Well, that's the point. I think a lot of the cognitiveness of Biden, if he can't go toe-to-toe with Trump in this first debate for 90 minutes, because they're already going to have no audience, I believe they're going to be sitting down and not standing. But if he does dismal, do you think he backs out and lets Kamala take over?
So she's much evil than Biden, than Joe Biden. Okay, I think by August we will have a much clearer picture if he is still the final one, or somebody else. Like I was hearing the California governor, right? That nonsense guy. What is his name?
Gavin Newsom,
right?
Mm-hmm.
I always called him Gavin Nonsense. Okay, he had done all the nonsense things to his country, to his state. So maybe he said that he's also the front runner for the presidential election. Who knows? Who knows with this corrupt party, because they never tell anything, right? The only thing is that they are so corrupt people. They have a lot of money, and through your channel, I request every American to help President Trump to get his funds so that he can fight his legal battles as well as his political battles.
Yeah, he's raised over $400 million to date since the trial or the verdict. So, in your opinion, do you see Trump, if it's a fair election, you think he's going to win in a landslide? Is that what I heard you say a minute ago?
Oh yeah, he will win. He will sweep this time. I'm quite positive because see, we have three big candidates in this election. Obviously, because President Trump and President Biden will be there, but also we have Kennedy, right? And he will take a big shareholder votes this time because I have attended his the town hall done by Sean Hannity in New York. I have attended that. I was invited, and I have seen his policies. He seems like more a Republican. So people were shouting in the town hall that why don't you switch and become the VP for President Trump? You know, people were literally shouting in the town hall at that time. And when they came out, they said his policies are really Americanized policies. See, Pastor, the thing is that which party came later, right? First, you have your country for which you owe a lot. So you have to think for your country and then for your neighbors and the rest of the world.
Well, do you think it's interesting that Joe Manchin just recently decided to become an independent? I mean, he's only got 5 months. He could have stayed a Democrat, but he announced he's an independent. But some say it's opened him up now. He can either run for governor or as a free person for Senate in West Virginia, or he could possibly be a VP candidate if Kamala Harris were to take over and he then became her VP and helped steal voters back from Kennedy from the independent, if you want to call it, gathering he's doing with a lot of dissatisfied Democrats. But I think it's interesting that Joe Manchin at this time chose to be an independent. I mean, Sinema did it a year ago. Tulsi Gabbard did it a year and a half ago. Why did he wait till now? But the bottom line is you're having Democrats leaving their party right here before the 2024 election. Don't you find that odd?
See, as by my understanding and what I understand the gutter politics of Democrats, they know that they are going to lose this election very badly, and it will make a history in the American democratic system, in the election system so far, okay? Because honestly, I am a data guy, I am an analyst. What I understand is they are not going to get even more than 25 to 28% of votes this time. If he gets more than 28 or if he hits 30, I think it's good for him. And President Trump will obviously get around 45 to 47% of the votes this time. Okay? So once you get so much, and the rest will go to the independent candidate, which is obviously candidate right now. So whatever the permutation combination this Democrat Party will be doing and will continue to do that, they are not going to get the power this time if it is a fair election. And I repeat, if it is a fair election.
Well, the Democrats don't have any rising stars. You know, they ticked off Tulsi Gabbard. AOC's a joke. Akeem Jeffries is not very likable. So the Democrats, I think they're in a quandary. The only person they have that's a likable would be Michelle Obama, but she doesn't want to run. No, I'm talking among Democrats, not us. So the Democrats are in a pickle, not just now, but I think in the next 5 to 10 years. That's why I don't understand why they don't embrace Kennedy. Kennedy's his favorables are up there. Not that I would vote for the guy; he's liberal, but I just don't. The strategy of the Democrats right now befuddles me because the more they attack Trump, the more his polls go up, and whoever's leading the Democrats right now is either smoking some bad weed or just a complete idiot. But they are making some horrendously bad decisions. But you're up in the middle, a lot of Democrats in New Jersey.
It's a blue state. I have New York is a blue state, Connecticut is a blue state, New Jersey is a blue state, Pennsylvania is a blue state. Right? So I am completely left, right, center, northwest, east, south. All are blue.
Do you see any rising stars in the Democrats? Anybody that's likable in the future?
That's hard to answer, but I think there must be some sharp minds in Democrats too, and they have to see, instead of playing their gutter politics, which they always play within the party, they have to come up with the right candidate. Maybe not now, maybe because I think the next 12 years will be the Republican 12 years, like we have from 1980 to 1992, right from the Ronald Reagan till Bush Sr. So my take on this is maybe in the next 12 years we will have maybe President Trump. I wish, God willing, he will come this time, and the next president will be also for the 8 years will be the president of Republican president who works for his country, and after that, in those they have enough time to see whom to put up, and then maybe they can have a better, but obviously not Gavin Newsom, obviously not Michelle Obama. We already have three tenure of Obama administration. We are done with. We don't want fourth. We are done with the Obama administration right now.
Oh, I agree, but Barack Obama kind of came out of nowhere, and I think they'll do that again. They'll find somebody and make them a rock star overnight. Because right now, when you look across the Democratic landscape, I don't see any of their folks. They try to make not Stefanik, but the governor of Michigan, but she's not likable. She's kind of like Hillary. Gavin Newsom, he didn't score. So I'm bringing this up for reasons. Donald Trump has got to pick a good vice president because we want that vice president, hopefully, to then become president and maintain his policies. And I'm curious who he picks because the Democrats are going to put together somebody, to battle that 2028 election. And it's going to be interesting because Trump only has these 4 years, and I don't know if you've heard me say this on the show. He really only has 2, and my point in that is he'll win in a big red wave. I think he'll get the Senate and the House, but he'll have a mid-election like most Obama, Bush, all them. He'll lose the House or the Senate in midterm, and his last 2 years he'll be lame duck. So he's got 2 years to fix the economy, the border, a lot of things. And then his vice president needs to be strong and likable. But
yeah, 100%, because see, what I understand in last 15 years, American how the White House runs, I think the vice president take care of all the domestic things, and the president take care for all the foreign affairs. I think president work very closely with the defense secretary as well as with the state of secretary, whereas the vice president work very closely with the finance secretary and home secretary, you can say, and other people which lead to the growth of United States, because we need somebody who can understand. See, our bridges are collapsing, right? We just witnessed that in Maryland a couple of weeks back. Our roads are in very bad condition. You just come to Jersey and you will see a lot of path holes over here. Okay, Governor Murphy, from the last 6 months, he is always saying we are filling up the path holes. Can you imagine? It will took 6 months to fill up the path holes in a small state like Jersey. It's not Texas, right? It's Jersey. It's just a small state of a 50 miles radius here or 70 mile radius here, and you are still filling up the path holes and it's not done, and still we have the road so bad. So we need to fix our country first and to fix the world. World will go the way it is. If you see how bad their foreign policies and domestic policies are, Obama, we have the Russian invasion of Crimea. We give billions, 200 billion to Iran, and just see now, Russia invaded Ukraine, and then now the Iran is hitting the Israel from all over, right? So for foreign policies, these Obama and the Biden administration have failed. If you see the domestic one, he bring up the Obamacare. I don't know what the heck was Obamacare, but my insurance rises 3 times. And similarly, he's doing like here, the inflation was too high. The same inflation is too high. Our Sensex has not reached, the market cap has not reached what we were in 2020 January. Still, we haven't reached that in 4 years. What a shame on us. We call ourselves the top economy of the world. We have $25 trillion of economy, but we don't have the market what we have reached 4 years back. So what it shows, sir, means you don't have to be a Yale graduate or Harvard graduate to understand the simple mathematics. 2 plus 2 you can add and it makes you, it gives you the 4. That both on the domestic and the foreign affairs, though, you have failed. So what else you are winning? Winning only one thing. Every case against the Republican. That's what you are winning. Every opponent case you are winning. You have become like a banana republic, like Russia, or like China, or like Venezuela, or like Saudi Arabia. Like Saudi Arabia prince also killed the reporter, right? So you have become like that. You just want to become a single-handed communist dictator leader instead of the people's president. Sorry, I don't want to cut, but
no. Well, Ankush, you're like I said, you're in New Jersey. You're around much more of a Democratic vibe than I'm down here in Chattanooga, and I'm in a big red Hamilton County, very pro Trump, very pro conservative. But I lived in New Jersey and as a kid when my father was an FBI agent, back when the FBI had some cred. But I remember, we moved when I was 8 to Chattanooga, so I don't remember a whole lot. But what I'm going there is, I remember my parents telling me that folks up in New Jersey would vote Democrat primarily because they felt it was the party of the blue collar. And, of course, that was back in the 70s. I don't think they have that identity as blue collar anymore. And they're so
No,
progressive.
now Democrat is a party of the gangsters.
They're very progressive, the bullies. Don't you see that?
I don't know why they call us the progressive. What progression in America has done when they have become the progressive party? Can they give? It has become a digressive party. You know, every 100 days, our debt, we are taking $1 trillion of debt. Every 100 days.
And that's
$3
not
trillion we took in 1 year, more than $3.5 trillion.
And you know that's intentional. They're trying to bankrupt. They're trying to bankrupt this country because they're not going to tell us. But let me ask you this: do you ever feel like the Democrats have more of a plan than the Republicans?
So your question is, what Democrats
Do you ever feel like the Democrats seem to have more of it to get their plans? The Republicans tend to only react. They don't seem to have a lot of plans. You know.
See, the problem with the Republican is, I have already told many Republicans, we have to unite.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first problem. The second is, like, I can tell you an example here, and I will be honest with you. Just on June 4th, we have the primaries elections, right? Okay, we have 12 districts, 12 congressional districts. Everybody who ran, whoever win, I always ask the other one, okay, you have lost. Please help the winning candidate to defeat the Democratic congressman. But no one is coming forward to do that. They don't want to use that. That's the problem. We are not united. Second problem we face is, especially I'm telling of New Jersey, I don't know other states. Maybe the dynamics is different there. I have no idea on that, Pastor. The second problem we are facing here is Democrats are winning by divide and rule. They are using the same policies as Britishers used all the time. Okay, so they are dividing. They are saying, okay, these are the white supremacist people. That's the division they are creating. Oh, these are the people who don't care about the common man. But that's not the case with the Republicans. I live in a Republican town. My next town is a Democrat. You come and see. In my town, we have better roads. I will not say the best in the New Jersey, but I can say better roads than the town which is next, which is a Democrat town. Okay, I think I have a better police department. If I go and talk to them, they will listen to me. They will acknowledge me. Than the police department in the Democrat town. But the problem is that people are not understanding this. We have to protect our. If you see now, New York, our cops are being killed by whom? Illegal immigrants.
Well, that's what I'm blunt. I just played a clip. CBN News and Fox News have both said that his executive order is worthless because they're still pouring in. But they were interviewing these illegal immigrants just today and yesterday, and they're saying we love Trump. And I think that do you think they're going to find a way to let them all vote?
I highly doubt this is possible on a large scale, but yes, where they will think that these are the swing towns or the states so that they can again win those swing states, they will try to do that. They're not going to try to do in state like Texas or in a state like Oklahoma, which are deep red, right, or in Dakotas, where they know these are the red states. But yes, the swing states like Michigan or in Wisconsin or Pennsylvania, which are really swing, or even if they can try in Georgia too, but not in Florida because they know the DeSantis will kick their asses badly, right? So they will try to do that. I have seen what was that movie, 1,000 Mules, I think, by Dinesh D'Souza.
Yes.
Dinesh D'Souza.
Yes.
Yeah, I have seen that. I wish and I hope it will not be repeated in 2024. So, but we have to have it vigilant. That's why I can tell you in a Democrat state like us, we are always saying we need a poll watcher. Nobody show up for being a poll watcher. And if you see on the Democrat side, they have 6 poll watchers and we have 1 or none.
Well, you brought up something to me one time when you were on Ankus, how you see a lot more Democrats involved in the process of folks becoming citizens, and therefore a lot of folks feel that, hey, the Democrats are the ones to vote for. Can you explain that again to my listeners? Because you're in the process of becoming a citizen, and there's not enough Republicans volunteering in that process either, right?
Yeah. So the thing is that whenever, like I told you earlier also, whenever anybody come here, because they think that Democrats means democracy, right? So they start moving toward that aisle, aisle of the across that table aisle. But the problem is that when you start hitting their bills, their kitchens, their families, then they understand what exactly has happened, and then they try to move towards the right aisle of the this thing. So that's how it happens here. Okay, and coming to your question that Democrats how they are using or misusing, I will say, the flaws of the this thing is people. There are a lot of migrants, because America is a country of migrants. So the illegal, they have set up a system like this. If you are illegal, you come here, they will provide you in the camps or in the tents or whatever the facilities they create, the food, the shelter, and everything, and then the process will start for your naturalization of your this citizenship, right? That you will get your citizenship and all those. But for the legal, like me and hundreds and thousands who came through a work visa, we have to wait for a couple of years. Like I waited for 12, 13 years to get my green card over here. So that's the main difference. And they think that Democrats are always doing that. It is absolutely wrong.
How long have you?
President Trump administration that the green card process for legal immigrant was, I will say, become a catalyst, okay, to get the green card much faster than any other administration. Obama didn't do anything. It was under President Trump who said, I want the legal immigrants who are in the green card process to get the green cards as soon as possible, and he gave a special quota also for the legal.
How long have you been trying to be a citizen of America?
Means it will take a couple of years, but I think after you get the green card, you are eligible after I think 4 years or 5 years. You know.
So you're on a 4 to 5 year track, and you're trying to do it all legally. What do you think about these folks that are getting paid? These illegal folks, they're getting these free Visa cards, phones, and all this. Free lodging.
That's the problem. That's what I'm saying. This is a big flaw here in the Constitution, or in their, I will not say Constitution. Constitution doesn't say that. In their laws, right? In their laws, that's a big flaw. That okay, you know that, Pastor, $8 million Biden administration is spending every day. I repeat, $8 million every day for the illegal immigrants, for their food, for their shelters, for their health care.
$8 million a day, and
per day.
And what do you think? I mean, say Biden wins. Do you think he then shuts the borders? He keep it open?
The people of America has to understand their wicked policies. Okay, they have brought in 10 illegal immigrants, and now what New York and other states are saying? Oh, we are sending them back. Okay. How many are you sending them back? You have 100,000 in your city. Are you sending all the 100,000 back, or you're just sending 100 back?
Well, a lot of folks see the strategy, of course, is they want to increase their census, so therefore it gets them more seats in the House, and that way the Democrats can control the purse because the House controls the money. And that seems to be their long plan. Republicans don't seem to have a plan. They just seem to react to the Democratic plan. I wish that Republicans could put out more of a long-term plan, for instance, making folks like yourself legal citizens that are trying to do it the right way. There's a lot of good people. We should go ahead and make citizens. I wish they would find a way to do that.
Yeah, that's what I am saying, that people there are more than 1 million people, or maybe around 2 million people. I don't know, because when I was into the green card process a couple of years back, it was 1 million. Maybe it has risen to 2 million people for the legal one. So why don't they give them so that they can purchase their houses here? They're already paying you taxes. They are already giving building up your economy. Then why don't you make them the legal and make them the citizen? They are legal here, right? Instead of having the illegal ones who are coming here and they have become like what can I say? A burden on our society and our financial system. Right?
I agree, and
they are liability on us. They are completely liability on us. Why do we spend $8 million on these people? Why don't we spend $8 million on our veterans, on our homeless people, on our infrastructure?
Have you ever heard of a guy named Pat Buchanan?
Say it again.
Have you ever heard of a gentleman named Pat Buchanan? He ran for president. He was a Republican, and back in '88, he said we need to build a wall, and
yes.
he was seeing that, and they laughed at him. Both parties laughed at him, and but he talked about it back in '88, and then he became when the Republicans rejected him, he went independent, and I think he went with the Green Party for a while. But Pat Buchanan brought border security to the table, even though it was mocked and made fun of. And you got to look back at that. But when Donald Trump was first in 2016, Paul Ryan, who was Speaker of the House, did all he could to stop the funding and stop. So you have Republicans, which some call rhinos, what have you, that seem to want an open border and don't want to seem to fix this. And that's why I don't understand. Why would you not want to fix the border? Make folks legal. They need to be legal. But other than the fact it's nefarious ways, child sex trafficking, guns, drugs, etc.
Drugs, yeah.
I mean, it's got to be the reason.
Yeah. See, Pastor, we have out of every I think 148 I read somewhere, or 158, one person having a fentanyl or oxycodone or any other drug abuse issue.
Yeah.
We don't have the drugs here. In America, we don't produce drugs. Where it comes from? China, Canada, Mexico, or Afghanistan, right? So how do they enter? Open borders. If you want to fix these issues, you have to fix your border. You have to do RCA, root cause analysis, like we used to do in our IT system. What the RCA that this problem comes up. Do the RCA, fix the problem. With one problem you fix 5 other problems which are related to that one problem. End of the story. But people don't want to fix it. Why? I don't know. But I assume, that's only my assumption, because they get big tons of money for their elections, and they are corrupt people. Corrupt officials, whether they are in politics or they are just the patrol guys, who are border patrol guys, or maybe construction workers, or anybody. Corrupt is corrupt, right? They don't want to fix it because they think, where will they get the money?
Well, do you remember in New Jersey, you guys had that truck driver that won a congressional seat?
Yeah,
How's he doing?
Oh, he lost this time.
Okay, they made. I didn't think they wouldn't let him get a second term, I'm sure. But when he beat out that incumbent, that told me that, hey, New Jersey's got maybe some hope if you guys can vote in a truck driver who had no political experience. And I think he only had $2,000 in his campaign at that time. But I knew eventually they'd circle the wagons and get him in a re-election, because he.
Yeah, but he's now planning to run for governor.
Oh,
so
wow!
He's planning, yeah.
Well, good
so
for
he
him.
Lost last time, but now Even he texted me a couple of days back that he's planning to run for the governor, and I wish him Ed. His name's Ed, so I wish him all the best. But the thing is that we need to understand basic thing that this is our country and we have to work for it. And we don't have to work for the people outside. We have to work for the people outside this country, obviously, right? But our first and foremost duty is to look after us, after our families, after our communities, after our neighborhoods, after our states, and after our countries, right? I was talking with Ryan McDonald. He runs his podcast channel here yesterday on the New Jersey primaries. And that's what we said, that boss, you have to have debates over there. And you have to have the good policies so that people, a common man, because voters here have a lot of power in any democracy. They can turn blue to red, red to blue.
Well, that's the thing. These, because the hanging Chad thing back in 2000 with Bush and Gore, to me that was nothing but fake drama because those machines were not hackable, but they had to create those machines as being unreliable. And if you go back and just look, it was such malarkey. So they brought in the Smartmatic and the and these other machines, that and what I don't understand, why do we let machines that are from foreign entities? George Soros Groups owns a big chunk of them. Why would we let them run our state elections? It just befuddles me. But Donald Trump mentioned the idea of going back to paper ballots, and I guess over in Iraq when we were trying to force them in democracy under Bush, you had to prove who you were, and you voted. Then you put your thumb in a thing of purple ink, so that if you tried to vote somewhere else, they would look at your thumb. I don't know about you. I'm okay with having a purple thumb for a week. One vote, one person, and I want everybody to vote. And then, if you lose, because let me quickly say this and see if you don't agree. If Joe Biden really won by as many as he said, 81 million, wouldn't you want to do a recount and rub it in Trump's face back in 2020?
Yeah, I think it should be. The first thing is that I will give you an answer later, just to give me 1 minute. First and foremost thing is, it's not wrong to learn from other democracies. We should have a voter ID card, and we should have an electronic voting machine, EVM, like we have in India. Number third is we should stop mailing ballots.
Yes.
And then once you fix these things, I think it will be fair and best elections America will have. It doesn't matter who comes to president and who goes to the White House, but at least you will have a fair election. If I am going to vote, you are going to vote, or President Trump is going to vote, he should show his voter ID card. He should walk there. Any person, any voter should walk, show the voter ID card, press the machine over there to which he is voting, and his vote is logged. End of the story. No mailing ballots. If you say, oh, we have old people, we have this, yes, we can do one thing. We can have many voter polling booths over there. Like in India, they did the polling booth. 49 countries has visited India this time as a poll watcher. 49 countries representative. And now India is getting from 100 countries how to explain them how to run a fair election. 100 countries. And do you know, Pastor, this time India didn't invite America as a poll watcher. What an embarrassment to the Biden administration.
Well, I wouldn't want us. If I was another country, we've been gotten so bad. But these smartphones have security on them now, to where you have to either have facial or thumb recognition, etc. We have the technology. Everyone could have one vote. They could know before midnight who won the election, but they don't want to embrace that technology because then they can't do their little Scooby-Doo steal and padding of the numbers.
Because they are the evil people. They know they are going to lose in a big way.
Well, I think they've been messing with elections for some time. It even goes back to when Kennedy, when he beat Nixon. It was a very close race, and after the election was called, they found all these votes in Chicago and these locked vehicles that weren't counted that were for Nixon. But Nixon, didn't pitch a fit. He just sucked it up and wait. And he of course, after Kennedy was assassinated, the guy that ran next, Nixon beat him out. But my point is it's a shame. Cheating's been going on for a long time. But with the technology today, and you work at IBM, you know this. They could do a fair election today, don't you think?
100%. Why, when and where we are going to use this latest and greatest technologies? As you right now mentioned, we have face recognition, we have thumb recognition, we have a multi-factor authentication, which we are saying now. Okay, your face is recognized, your thumb is recognized. Fine enough, go and cast your vote. End of the story. There should be an application on the phone, on the smartphones, whether you use Android or Apple. If I am a military guy, I am in defense, I am stationed outside of America, let's say Germany, France, wherever. I know today is a voting day. I log in to the app, I give all my credentials, and I vote. End of the story. You are in Florida on a vacation. You can't go and vote. You log to your phone and do it. The surgeons, our first responders, they can't go. If a doctor is in surgery, do you think surgery is important for him, or giving a vote is important for him? For him, surgery is important because he wants to save the life. And same is the case with firefighter. If somebody has a fire, firefighter will go and extinguish the fire. They are not going to go and vote. So how they can vote? They can just log after they are done with their work and then vote, or when they are taking a break. Same is the case with most of the working class. People who work 3 jobs in this Biden inflation, they don't have the time to go to vote. But yes, they have the phone, they can pick up the phone, and they can vote from there.
Well, I agree. Well, hey, we got 3 minutes before the break. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up today from New Jersey?
Yeah, I want to say that we just now waking up, not fully waked. We are waking up, and I hope that this election will be a landmark election in the history of New Jersey and America, because we have 5 main electoral which are the roads to the Washington D.C., New York, LA, Miami, Pennsylvania, Chicago. And I can also say the part of Bay Area, San Francisco and the Bay Area, because that's also a huge, humongous number of people who live there. Population is too high. So we have to start, or the Republican has to start working on these 5 main voter bases and tell the people what is right, what is wrong. It gives me a lot of pain what happened in the universities. These are the kids who will be the future of this great nation. But if they are brainwashed, just imagine where we are heading to. And that's what...
In Colombia, I don't know if you saw the study, 62% of those in the protests were not students. They tracked their phones by their pings. And of the 62% that weren't students, 44% of those were government phones. Yes. So a lot of that was nothing but a government psyop. But most of the media won't report that.
Yeah, and one thing more, I don't know whether your viewers noticed that or not. History repeats itself. In New York, during April-May 2020, Black Lives Matter happened.
Yep.
Same New York, March, April, I think it started April 6th, if I'm not wrong, or April 9th. These protests happens in the universities. Exactly on the year when we have elections. Election year.
Oh yeah, 3 years from now there'll be another uprising, be it Antifa, Black Matters, Palestine. It may be Scooby-Doo party. We don't know, but well, hey, Ankus, Thanks for being on the show. I've got to let you go because I got to go to commercial break. But thanks for listening and being a friend, and I appreciate your support in my show up in New Jersey.
Thank you so much, Pastor, and I appreciate you calling me on your channel again.
Yes,
Have a nice evening.
You too. That's my friend Angus from New Jersey. He calls in. He's a faithful listener, and he's was born in India and is working through the process to be an American citizen. He's over 5 years in the process and still not been awarded his citizenship, but he's done all the things he's asked to do, and he pays his taxes. Good guy. And that's the kind of person that needs to be made a citizen of this country, in my opinion. This is Macil Duncan on the Macil Duncan Radio Show. I'll be back after the break. Well, the break didn't work again. I'm sorry, guys. We're having some problems with that. Thousands braved the heat to attend Las Vegas Trump rally. Check this out.
Donald Trump supporters have braved very high temperatures to attend a campaign stop in Las Vegas. Thousands of people attended the event. Some waited in line from 5 o'clock in the morning to purchase Donald Trump merchandise, as is usually the case. Attendees standing by the former president despite his ongoing legal battles.
I'd like to know how they can take a whole bunch of misdemeanors that were thrown out of court and turn them into felonies, and it's on a business thing that he didn't even know happened.
I support President Trump, and I will vote for President Trump.
Donald Trump supporters have braved very high temperatures to attend a campaign stop in Las Vegas.
So that's interesting. A lot of folks there. And the latest on the Hunter Biden federal gun trial.
And Hunter Biden is back in a court as his criminal trial nears its end. President Biden's son arrived at the courthouse in Wilmington, Delaware this morning, where he was greeted by friends and family. Hunter Biden faces 3 charges tied to the possession of a gun while using narcotics and has pleaded not guilty. First Lady Jill Biden is also in the courthouse today. Hunter Biden's defense team has indicated that he won't take the stand in his own defense, raising the likelihood that closing arguments will begin today. If convicted, the president's son could face up to 25 years in jail. President Biden has said he will not pardon his son if he is convicted.
And that's interesting. Well, the Apison Food Pantry feeds over 3,000 people a month, and we could use your prayers. In these troublesome times, our clients are increasing. Could you make a donation today online at www.apisonbaptist.com? That's www.apisonbaptist.com. We also appreciate food drives, prayers, financial donations that help us feed the hungry. We rent 2 old grocery stores downtown Apison, and we're open 7 days a week for donations, and we distribute food every Monday and Friday, 2 days a week. Our motto here at Apison Baptist is taking Jesus as he is to people as they are. Check us out at www.apisonbaptist.com. Metro Tab Church off Highway 153 in Chattanooga has a multicultural church with media, worship, and preaching. They punch a hole in hell each and every week. Listen to Dr. Steve Ball in person or listen live here on 96.9 FM at 10:30 p.m. each and every Sunday. Help our homeless ministry here at Apison Baptist. We go downtown to the tent city and feed the veterans living off the streets, eating out of garbage cans, sadly. We like to give them resource bags with hygiene items, food, water, and a Gideon New Testament. You can donate today online at www.apisonbaptist.com, and we appreciate all the prayers. 917society.com, led by Joni Bryan from Nashville, funds the National Education Order 108-447 in 1959 that declared Constitution Day in the public schools. The 917 Society stands for the September 17th. Each and every year, September 17th, public schools are supposed to distribute, study, and discuss the Constitution of the United States as the Order 108-447 issued back in 1959. If you would like to help the 917society.com, They gave out 1 million copies last year across the country, and their goal this year is 2 million pocket-sized constitutions to give out to children here in America. The Macil Duncan Radio Show, 3 to 6 p.m. daily on USAHeartbeat.com radio, StreetLevelAmerica.com radio, 96.9 FM, DestinyLifeMedia.com radio, MacilDuncanRadio.com on Rumble, X, and True Social, also the Facebook channels, and we appreciate all that like and listen to the show. Well, we got a couple of things here in the last segment here as we get ready to wrap up the day. There was a lot of talk about Caitlin Clark not making the Olympic team, and many people viewing are discussing their viewpoints, and I think we were rather taken back that how many folks tried to justify it. But the key elements of Caitlin Clark is that she is white, she is straight, and she's a Christian. Those three boxes don't seem to mesh with the elites of the WNBA, which tend to be atheistic, lesbian, and non-white. And that's just the fact, Jax, according to many other pundits. So I think we'll see what happens in the weeks ahead. But sadly, of the 12-woman roster, one lady hasn't played at all this year. She's been on the injured reserve. So they placed an injured player over Caitlin Clark, or even Angel Reese, of that matter. But they've always historically put a college student on the team. Candace Park was a rookie right out of college. Taurasi, Sue Bird, all of them right out of college as rookies were placed on the Olympic team of their time. So it's very sad that they've gone this route. Well, Modi was sworn in a historic third term as India's prime minister. And India, after landing a spacecraft on the moon, championing a Hindu renaissance and leading India's fast-growing economy, Modi has been sworn in as prime minister to a historic third term in a grand ceremony at the presidential palace and I can't remember how to say that, sorry. But anyway, India is celebrating that historic moment, and rather interesting that a third term has never been done before, so way to go, Modi. A shocking poll says 84% of Americans believe they will be worse off if Biden wins. This shocking poll just got released today, and it's by the YouGov presidential election poll. And this guy is a Muslim. Rahim put out a poll and found the shocking nugget that 84% of Americans believe they will be worse off under a second term of Joe Biden. This encapsulated Republicans, Democrats, Libertarian, and Independent voters in the poll gathering. Very interesting for that to come out today. The Pelosi insurrection. There's a new video that reveals Pelosi taking responsibility for unprotected U.S. Capitol on January 6th after she called off the National Guard. You know, it's been on record that Donald Trump offered on multiple occasions to bring in the National Guard if there was concerns. And the mayor of D.C., as well as the Speaker of the House, and in case you don't know this, the Speaker of the House is over security for the Capitol, and they have even some oversight, if you will, over the Capitol Police, and they have a sergeant at arms that has a security team. So for Pelosi and Mayor Bowser, I think at the time, they both denied President Trump's offer for National Guard or troops to be there on January 6th. That's finally coming out. And so Pelosi spent 3+ years and nearly $20 million creating a narrative to blame Donald Trump, when actually it was all her fault. She could have had the troops there, but she denied the opportunity. Elon Musk drops a truth bomb on the left-wing extinctionist movement. And Elon Musk, who said now he will vote Republican, whoever the Republican nominee is, that he has voted Democrat his whole adult life here as a dual citizen of America and West Africa. But the globalist has a difficult weekend. the far-right parties, also called centrist, were victorious in the EU election. And so he's saying the globalists had a difficult weekend as they've lost their grip and power grasping globally. And this, he says, is good news for America and the world. We appreciate that, Elon Musk. Spain is realizing it made a huge mistake backing Palestine. This has come out that Spain might have made a huge mistake recognizing Palestine as its own state. Now it's like the voters of the people turning out were very upset that they took that stand, and the declaration of this recognition was joined by EU nations, Ireland and Norway, and several others have followed suit since then. However, the Spanish government has learned that along with recognizing a Palestinian state, calling the Gaza war a genocide could have disastrous nationwide consequences. According to Spanish news website, the Spanish government has been attempting to minimize the sweeping condemnation of the government of Gaza because folks are now becoming aware of the genocide attempt and the river to the sea chant, meaning, well, they brought it on themselves, my friend. They knew that before it went out, and it's going to be interesting to see. Hunter Biden's trial is wrapping up a little bit, and we'll find out the president's fate, but his father has said he will not pardon his son, and he hopes for a fair verdict. So that'll be interesting to see how that is played out and how the president accepts the verdict for his son. We're about to head out for the day. This is a Monday, and don't forget gas prices are down to $2.56 at the Circle K. They're on Ooltewah Ringgold Road and Appleton or East Brainerd Road. I was rather shocked at how cheap the gas was, but they think a lot of it's because with the election coming up, there'll be a lot of manipulation with economic resources to try to win back votes because right now the Democrats are very scared, and one reason is they're losing the Hispanic and the minority vote. This is the group called Trump Latinos and their opening statement.
The greatest enemy of the United States is the Democrat Party and those who support it. Trump Latinos!
I got love for the Patriots loving me. Mega love, mega love.
The Trump Latinos has blasted the airways in such a way over the last 18 months. They have been offered multiple record contracts as long as they would quit doing Trump videos, and they said they would not stop. They now have 10 hit Trump videos that have been in the top 20 of the online purchasing. So interesting. Go to Trump Latinos and listen to their stuff. It's rather interesting, very patriotic, and they seem to have a love for their country. Apple is unveiling an AI upgrade at a conference. See what you think.
One of Apple's biggest events of the year kicks off today in California. And according to reports, the Worldwide Developers Conference will see Apple showcasing its advancements in artificial intelligence, which the tech company has reportedly dubbed Apple Intelligence. Specifically, Apple is expected to highlight AI upgrades to its Siri talking assistant. Reports have said Apple has held talks with OpenAI and Google to license their AI software.
So that's interesting to see AI and Apple do this launch right coming up on the election. Many wonder if somehow Apple's going to involve themselves in the election process. That will remain to be seen. And Trump calls for January 6 investigation. Committee members he believes should be indicted.
Donald Trump is calling for the criminal prosecution of members of the Congressional January 6th Investigative Committee, all of whom are his political opponents. In a post on Truth Social, the former president wrote, "Indict the unselect J6 committee for illegally deleting and destroying all of their findings." Committee members included Republicans Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, and Democrats Adam Schiff, Jamie Raskin, Benny Thompson, and others. Trump made the post after his former chief strategist Steve Bannon was sentenced to 4 months in prison for defying a subpoena from the committee.
So that's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. And of course, the soundbite of the week is Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Part of an audiobook written by Michael Spector that you believed an institutional should make it hard for people to live their lives so they'd feel pressured to get vaccinated. Could we run the audio clip on that, please?
Do you think can be done about it? I have to say that I don't see a big solution other than some sort of mandatory vaccination. I know federal officials don't like to use that term.
Once people feel empowered and protected legally, you are going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated. Lady, you're going to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all of those others are going to say, you want to work for us, you get vaccinated. And it's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit. And
Thank you, Dr. Fauci. This is Macil Duncan. I'll be back tomorrow. God bless. Godspeed.